So thank you again to Ben from KPMG for that presentation. I'd like to actually repeat it here and open if you don't mind.
Oh, you're on. Thank you.
So I'll need you to speak into the mic there this time, Ben.
Hi everyone, so my name is Ben Campbell. I work for KPMG. I am an audit manager there. I've been there for just over 7 years. So I work for Corey Naphtali, who's the engagement partner that actually signs off on the audit report. So again, he wanted to be here due to conflicting schedule. He asked me to present the financial statements. So why don't we go through our agenda here. So we'll go through the audit report, the financial statements, and the surplus. So KPMG is providing and issuing a clean audit report in respect of consolidated financial statements in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So this means that the financial statements are free of material misstatements. And this is the audit opinion that everyone wants to have, and it's a clean audit opinion, so no mistakes to note. So why don't we move on to the next slide, which is the statement of financial position. So the district had $31.2 million of total financial assets in 2018, and in 2019 they had $29.6 million. So this is broken out between cash, accounts receivable, guaranteed investment certificates, MFA deposits, and investment in Tumbler Ridge Community Forest. So a few of the line items I want to discuss is cash. So cash has decreased by approximately $4.5 million, but this cash is not just gone. It's actually just been moved down into a new line item called guaranteed investment certificates. So during the year, the district purchased a 5-year, $5 million GIC, which increased the guaranteed investment certificates to $18.4 million. Another item that I wanted to highlight is the investment in the Tumbler Ridge Community Forest. So this line item is actually, this investment is actually recorded on the equity method, so it's shown on the statement of financial position at $2.6 million, and that increase is really just the investment income, or so the income during the year of $650,000 that the community forest paid during the year. So that total came to a total of financial assets of $31.2 million in 2018. So why don't we move on to the financial liabilities. So total financial liabilities was $3.1 million in 2018 as compared to $3.2 million in 2017. This is broken up between accounts payable, deferred revenue, deposits and holdbacks, long-term debt, net of sinking funds. And as you can see that the total financial liabilities is very comparable to prior year. Accounts payable and accrued liabilities made up of has gone down $200,000, but this is just the timing when invoices came in and invoices were paid. It's made up of trades payables, payroll, wages, and benefits. The next line item is deferred revenue. The deferred revenue is made up of a grant from the community forest and a rural dividend grant. So if you net the total financial assets with the total financial liabilities, you get net financial assets of $28.1 million in 2018 and $26.4 million in 2017. Why don't we move on to the next slide? So total non-financial assets was $57.6 million in 2018, and this is up approximately $2 million from 2017. The largest line item is the tangible capital assets, and as you can see, it increased by $1.9 million. This is made up of, that change is made up of additions of $5 million and amortization of $3 million. So they netted to get $1.9 million. During the year, the district had three larger projects. It was a $2.4 million paving project, a $1.4 million lagoon project, a $400,000 cemetery project, and actually there was some other larger ones there, but including the land improvements and outdoor recreation. So all these additions netted with the amortization got us to that $1.9 million change. So why don't we move on? Move on to our statement of operations. So the district budgeted for a $4.8 million surplus. This is their actual surplus was $3.6 million. This $3.6 million is very comparable to 2017, but it is below the budget. And if we go through the next few slides, you'll see where that change came in and what the difference was. So why don't we move on to the revenue, the statement of operations, specifically the revenue. So total revenue during the year was $16.1 million in 2018, which you can see is comparable, very comparable to the 2017 revenue of $16.03 million, but it is below the budget of, it is above the budget of $15.2 million. So as you can see, as you would expect and see, is that the net taxation revenue is very consistent to budget and comparable to prior year, so that you can see that there's no issues noted in there. So if you go down the list, you have your government transfers, water and sewer, and sale of services. The main change came from the next line item, which is other revenue. As you can see, the district budgeted for $715,000 of other revenue. They actually got $1.5 million, and included in this $1.5 million is the profit from the investment in the community forest of $650,000. So if the district had budgeted for the community forest income of $650,000, then you would be really close to your budget, and why the revenue is actually higher than the budget. So why don't we move on to the expenses. Total expenses during the year was $12.4 million. This is, again, very comparable to 2017. It is higher than the budget, approximately $2.5 million, and I can get to that in a moment. So the expenses are broken out into each different segment. So you have your general government services, protective and transportation services, environmental health services, parks and recreation, water and sewer, grants to other communities, and amortization. And it's the amortization one that I want to talk about. So the district did not budget for the amortization of the $3 million, and if they had budgeted for amortization, you would see that the total expenses between the budget and the actual would have lined up a lot closer. So why don't we move on to the next slides there, which is our accumulated surplus. So this slide just shows the breakdown of how we get to our ending surplus. So we have our annual surplus of 2018 at $3.6 million. We add our opening surplus of $82 million, gets us to our ending surplus of $85.7 million in 2018. In the next few slides, you'll actually see the breakdown of that accumulated surplus, which is made up of the invested intangible capital assets, the general fund, and the reserves set aside. So in this breakdown, so you can see the invested intangible capital assets. This number will actually match to your invested or your tangible capital assets on your statement of financial position less the debt. You have your operating funds of $19.8 million, and this brings you to a total surplus of $76.2 million before the reserve set aside. So what you'll see here is that these are all the different reserves that the council set aside. You have your your stabilization, equipment replacement, land sales, RCMP building, and drainage. There are some more on the next few slides, but the change here, as you can see, the equipment replacement changed by 389. That change is made up of two things. One, it's any interest earned on those funds, and the second thing is if council decided to, and council did decide to move more money into those reserves and pass a motion for that. Last slide here is the notes to the financial statements. I just want to highlight a few items on the notes of the financial statement. So significant accounting policies. So we've added no new significant accounting policies during the year. You move down to invested in Tumbler Ridge Community Forest, you can see that on the financial statements you'll have a breakdown of the balance sheet and income statement related to that investment. Your commitments and contingencies. In 2019 there's going to be a new valuation on the municipal pension plan, so there'll be updated numbers for next year's audit. And the comparative figures, there's been a few items on the financial statement that we've moved the grouping, but the actual surplus did not change the opening. Are there any questions?
Questions, council? Okay, thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate all the work that you put in for that. Okay, moving on to 5.2, Northern Regional MS Society. Lindsay Renner-Cairns on behalf of Sherri Mytopher for the Northern Regional MS Society requesting a May be proclaimed as MS Awareness Month. Lindsay, welcome.
So yes, my name is Lindsay Renner-Cairns. I've been a resident of Tumbler Ridge for a year and a half now. I was actually raised in one of the next towns over in Taylor, so I'm an area local. I'm here today to represent Sherri Mytopher. Sherri is a council member within the Northern Regional Chapter of the MS Society residing in Port St. John. She regrets that she can't be here today as she's currently meeting with council in Taylor. Sherri's been working really hard over the last 3 years to bring awareness to the Peace region by doing proclamations in Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, Hudson's Hope, and now Taylor and Tumbler Ridge. Sherri has hosted the MS Walk in Fort St. John for the last 2 years and has raised on its own almost $50,000. She is an ambassador for A&W Birders to Beat MS. Last year she was the recipient of the MS Champion Award given out by the BC MS Society. And most recently, Sherri was the recipient of the Humanitarian Award for the City of Fort St. John Community Awards Night. Sherri lives with MS. Multiple sclerosis is a chronic autoimmune disease of the central nervous system. This disease attacks the protective coating of the nerves called myelin, or the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is what allows the electrical impulses from our brains to transmit quickly and effectively along our nerve cells. Canada has one of the highest rates of MS in the world. An estimated 77,000 Canadians, approximately 1 in 385, are living with MS right now. Approximately 12,000 of those individuals are in BC alone, 900 of which are from Prince George North. Symptoms themselves are vast and unpredictable, everything from speech problems to mobility problems and muscle spasms to total paralysis. MS is 3 times more likely to affect women than men, and there's no way to prevent MS. There's a wealth of information regarding research on the MS Society of Canada's website page, mssociety.ca, if you're interested in learning more about it. I myself have a very profound link to MS. I have a 1 in 45 chance of developing the disease myself. My mother was diagnosed in 1985, and by 1992 she was using a wheelchair and scooter almost full time. By 1996 she was using the use of her hands, and at 20 years old I had to say goodbye to her forever. She was a fighter and a strong woman, and this disease took so much of her independence, but she never stopped hoping that things were going to turn around with research within our country. I do have a couple articles written by her and a very close friend. If anybody's interested in reading them, they're kind of tearjerkers, so I'll let you do that on your own time. This is where I come to my reasons about why awareness is so important, not only to me, but everybody who has to live with this disease every day, and the people affected by that. The cause is unknown. It can affect anybody at any time. The unpredictable and often episodic nature of the disease makes it very difficult for many living with this disease to maintain any adequate quality of life. Many people and families, including my own as a child, are often faced with barriers within the support programs all across all levels of government in our country, causing financial and practical challenges within their lives. So much has changed since I lost my mom in 2005. In regards to MS research, Canada is at the forefront of MS research, and because of campaigns such as the End MS movement, MS Walks, MS Bikes, and promotional campaigns such as the A&W Burgers for MS, we've taken many strides forward with not only training and retaining our next generation of researchers, but in discoveries that are leading the way to faster, more accurate diagnosis and treatments that are providing those living with MS a better quality of life at home with their families and loved ones. There are those who do not have the support needed to maintain a sense of normalcy in their day-to-day lives, which can result in placement in long-term care facilities, loss of custody, and overall upheaval of their entire life. This is what we need to do as a country to prevent this This is what we need to do as a country to prevent MS happening, as MS is not a disease that takes away from one's personality or mental capacity. You're left essentially with a body that doesn't function as it should. So awareness is very important. So tonight I'm asking the Tumbler Ridge Council and Mayor to proclaim that May be MS Awareness Month within the district of Tumbler Ridge for the foreseeable future, and then we can open up a conversation with those living with MS within our own community. If any of you are interested for more information, would like to join, donate, or sponsor the walk, I've provided you with a poster from Sherri with all her contact information, and I myself have left a donation form within the town hall and on Facebook out in the community pages. So thank you for your time.
Excellent, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation and my condolences for your mom. I do have a proclamation here. Whereas multiple sclerosis is a chronic autoimmune disease of the central nervous system affecting an estimated 1 in 385 Canadians and approximately 12,000 British Columbians. And whereas multiple sclerosis symptoms vary widely and may lead to problems with numbness, coordination, vision, and speech, as well as extreme fatigue and even paralysis. And whereas there is no known cause of, prevention of, or cure for multiple sclerosis. And whereas the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports both MS research and services for people with MS and their families. And whereas annual fundraising events such as the MS Walk, MS Bike, and A&W's Burgers to Beat MS support programs to enhance the lives of people affected by multiple sclerosis and their families, and supports MS research in Canada. And whereas since 1948, the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada has contributed $175 million towards MS research and is grateful for the dedication and commitment of its supporters and volunteers that has made this possible. And whereas BC will continue to lead the way in multiple sclerosis research through one of the world's most renowned multiple sclerosis research facilities at the University of British Columbia. Whereas together we will find ways to enhance the quality of lives for people affected by multiple sclerosis and to find a cure to end MS. Now, therefore, I, Keith Bertrand, Mayor of District of Tumbler Ridge of the Province of British Columbia, Canada, do hereby proclaim this month of May 2019 to be MS Awareness Month for the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 5.3, CUPE Executive Local 2979, Karen Curry, Al Guske, Nancy Fallon, and Gary Doonan to request a proclamation for the National Day of Mourning on April 28th. Welcome all.
Unfortunately, Nancy Fallon ill, so she couldn't be here. So, good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
So most of you know me for my day job as finance clerk, but I am the current president of CUPE Local 2979, representing the local municipal employees. So here with me is Al Guske, he's my vice president, and Gary Doonan is my recording secretary. So the purpose of my delegation here this evening is to request to Mayor and Council to acknowledge April 28th, 2019 as National Day of Mourning by flying the National Day of Mourning Flag, called Workers' Mourning Day, which is dedicated to remembering those who have lost their lives or suffered injury or illness on the job or due to work-related traffic. Just to give you some history on stats, time that on it, so I just wanted to give you some back history on it. The Day of Mourning has a very proud Canadian labour history. At the Canadian Labour Congress, the CLC Convention in 1984, a resolution was submitted by the Canadian Union of Public Employees, CUPE, a National Health and Safety Committee recommending a creation of a Remembrance Day for workers killed or injured on the job. This resolution was readily adopted by the convention delegates. The date April 28th was chosen as on April 28th in 1914, the first Comprehensive Workers' Compensation Act was passed in the legislature. In December 1990, following years of lobbying efforts by Canadian unions and the NDP, the federal government passed Bill C-223, the Workers' Mourning Day Act, make April 28, 1991, the first government-recognized National Day of Mourning. The act is a brief piece of legislation which reads, in part, throughout Canada, in each and every year, the 28th day of April shall be known under the name of Day of Mourning for persons killed or injured in the workplace. So in British Columbia, as reported to the Workers' Compensation Board in 2017, 198 workers have died. 6 young workers and 102 died from occupational disease. In Canada across, according to the Association of Workers' Compensation Boards of Canada nationally, every year approximately 1,000 workers die. Every day nearly 3 workers die. Every year workers suffer from 250,000 work-related injury or disease. Every day workers suffer from 685 work-related injuries or disease.
That's too many.
I wanted to give you some statistics on those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming in and making us all aware of that. I know I've recognized that day for many years as a crane operator, and those statistics are overwhelming, most definitely. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 5.4, Tumbler Ridge Secondary School Go-Kart Project. Welcome, everyone. The floor is yours.
I'd like to start off by thanking Council for being with us today. We're the representatives for this year's Kodiak Racers. We're here to ask for district support. There are other members along with me to speak to you.
Thank you.
My name is Kako Fujinaki and I'm representing for Team Phoenix Flames. The members of my team are Vincent Morissette, Panit Handel, and Aiden Fletcher. Our slogan is "We'll rise up to the challenge," and our charity we chose is the Canadian Cancer Society.
My name is Devin Chadell and I'm here to represent the Asteroids. My group also involves Evander Douglas, Emmeline Bandera, and Emma Williams. Our slogan is "We're here to cause mass destruction," and the charity we chose is Santa Claus Without Borders.
Hello, my name is Shelby Nickerson, and I'm representing my team, Panic. Our members include myself, Taylor Kuntz, John Beatty, and Jeffrey Souls. Our slogan is "Get ready to panic, because here comes the manic," and our charity is the BC Wildlife Conservation.
Hello, my name is Kyra Bertrand, and I represent the Wildcats. My group members include myself, Solana Henderson, Celeste Hurley, and Taylor Martin. Our slogan is "We'll chase you down like you're our prey," and our charity is the Center for Addiction and Mental Health.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Whalen. I'm representing my team Black Ice, including the team members Emma Lewis, Tasha Stokes, and Kylie Baisley. Our slogan is "You won't see us until we're in first place," and the charity we chose is the BC's Children's Hospital.
I will be representing the Raiders. The Raiders group members are Austin Bradley, Jace Neal, and Nicholas Robinson. Their slogan is "We're gonna raid the race," and the charity is the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
My name is Logan Lloyd, and I'm representing my team, The Rock. The members of my team include Noam Winnie, Nevada Julik, and Zainal Rock. Our slogan is "We will crush the competition." Half of the proceeds of the auctioning of our go-kart will go to the Tourette's Syndrome Foundation of Canada.
My name is Cole McNeil. My group is the Gladiators. My group members are Sierra Eagles, Brady Turner, and Luke Martin, along with myself. Our slogan is "It's not about winning, it's about not losing," and our charity is the SPCA.
This project was made possible by the Youth Discover the Trades grant. Without them and our sponsors, we wouldn't have enough funding to pull this off. The Youth Discover the Trades program from the Industry Training Authority lets the youth get hands-on experience with the trades to show them what a career in the trades would look like. In order to receive the ITA grant, we need to make sure that this project includes the people in our community. For the past few years, we have done a good job of doing so, therefore we received the grant this year.
This year, our class was put into 8 teams. After we were put into teams, for the first 3 days, we've done team building. Each person on a team has their own responsibilities, including team representatives, which are the people here presenting for you today. Once we finished team building, we shifted into creating our team names and logos, starting to define what we wanted our teams to look like to others.
When our class began requesting sponsorships, we worked together to create our business ask letters. The letters would give details on our project and then stating the ask. We're asking our sponsors to help keep our project running and being able to give students real-life skills. Without our sponsors and the help of the ITA grant, this project would not be made possible. Some of our sponsors have already notified us they will be assisting in our project. Some include CANUCKS, the Lions Club, Anglo-American, Rosanu Transport, and Versatile Vinyl and more.
For our safety during this project, we took a mock driver's test to prepare us for driving our go-karts. We learned about the personal protection equipment that is required as soon as we enter the shop. We had a trip to Northern Lights College to learn about the welding safety that is required when we build our go-karts. And we had a safety presentation by Mr. DeFaro talking about the FLRA, or field level risk assessments, that will have to be done as soon as we enter the shop each day.
On June 6th, we will start with a pep rally where each team will be introduced. The race will begin in the TRSS parking lot. Then after the race, the Lions Club will donate a barbecue lunch for everyone. In the end, the team with the fastest heat wins the race, but not the Kanuma Challenge. The Kanuma Challenge was proposed by Mr. Mark Barkowski to be open-minded and do our best. We'll be expecting 800 spectators watching the race on race day. And our final task is to complete a presentation to the graded class in hopes of inspiring them to do this project again next year.
Why we are doing this is to gain real-life skills, such as trade skills like graphic designing going into our logos, and the mechanics and welding that are going into our go-karts. Teamwork, presentations, public speaking, accounting, marketing, designing, planning, safety, and fundraising skills all are going into this project. We're also giving back to our community by bringing us together on race day and by giving half of our proceeds of our auction to the charity and next class.
A big part of the Community Challenge is paying it forward. After the race, we are going to auction off all the go-karts, and with the money we are going to give half to the group's charities and half to next year's grade 9 class. We also think that this program will inspire the elementary students.
What we are asking from you is that you close Southgate Street for June 4th, 5th, and 6th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We need it closed for the 4th and 5th to make sure everything is working on our carts good for the actual race day, which is on June 6th. We'd also ask that you set up the roadblocks on pylons on either side of the road, and support in the shop on build days would be appreciated. We'd like a response by May 1st, if possible, and we'd like to thank you for your time and consideration.
Excellent, thank you very much. That was a very well done presentation. I really liked all the charities that you chose. I think it was well thought out of for all of them. And I love the slogans too. Councilor.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. Just in how great it is to see so many young adults come out and visit us. I know it's a difficult thing to come and speak in council chambers, and you guys did a really great job. And I really look forward to watching the races this year. And is 8 the most amount of racers put in? Last year I think there was 6. That's correct. 5. Wow. So a jump from 5 to 8. Outstanding. That's a testament to the program that you guys are putting on down there and how well received it is.
Absolutely. Council.
Good.
Councilor Kalka.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that. And last year, the group came in, and I thought they did an awesome job, and you guys have definitely topped that. So, congrats to your guys' whole group for coming in and presenting. Since you guys have gained 3 teams, I'm going to donate 2 months of my council wages to your group. So I'll get hold of your teachers, but I'll donate 2 months of my council back to the go-karts to keep that going. So.
Well done. Excellent. Thank you again for coming in. This project is absolutely diverse in the things that you're learning. Not only public speaking, but you know, it's not just about building a go-kart. There's many different aspects of this that really transform into life learning skills. So I commend you all for taking this on, and thank you very much for coming in. Thank you. Mr. Wall, can you add this to new business for the road closure? I'd like to make a motion that we add to new business at 105 for road closure for the go-kart project. Second, Councilor Kirby. Discussion. All in favor? Okay. Moving on. Correspondence 6.1. Maple Ridge City Council Provincial Government Actions. Correspondence from the Mayor of City of Maple Ridge dated April 5th, 2019 regarding provincial government actions and requesting that Council pass the proposed resolution regarding the importance of local government autonomy. Recommendation, please. Councilor Norbury.
For information.
Seconder. Councilor Majinski. Any comment or discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 6.2 NCLGA Species at Risk Correspondence from NCLGA dated April 8th, 2019 requesting to petition to the federal and provincial governments to implement 3 priority actions when addressing species at risk. Recommendation, please. Councilor Norwood.
For information.
Seconder, Councilor Lehman. Any comments or discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaws 7.1 2019 to 2023 Financial Plan Bylaw number 676 2019. Report from the Director of Finance dated April 15th, 2019 to seek first 3 readings of of the 2019-2023 Financial Plan Bylaw number 676, 2019. And we'll deal with these separately, please. Recommendation, please. Councillor Kirby.
The council hereby gives first reading of the District of Tumbler Ridge 2019 to 2023 Financial Bylaw number 676, 2019.
Seconder. Councillor Kalka. Comment or discussion? All in favor? Carried. Recommendation 2. Councillor Norbury.
The council hereby gives the second reading of the District of Tumbler Ridge 2019 to 2023 Financial Plan Bylaw number 676, 2019.
Seconder. Councillor Majinski. Comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation 3. Councillor Lehman.
That council hereby gives third reading to the District of Tumbler Ridge 2019-2023 Financial Plan Bylaw number 676, 2019.
Seconder. Councillor Majinski. Any comment? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And last recommendation beforehand, does everyone agree with that special council meeting date and time? Is there any conflicts there? Wednesday. Okay. Recommendation, Councillor Kirby.
The council schedules a special council meeting for April 17th, 2019 at 9 a.m. for the purpose of adopting the financial plan and tax rate bylaws.
Seconder. Councillor Norbury. Comments? Councillor Kalka.
So maybe we should have a show of hands that can make it, so we know you have quorum.
Are you guys able to make it?
I'm not sure if I can yet.
So we've got 2, 4, possibly 5.
We got 4, so we need.
Okay. Looks like we should be okay. Seconder on the recommendation. Did I get that? Yeah. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 7.2. Just before we go there, I appreciate council addressing the timing issue here. The sooner we get this adopted, the sooner our projects can go ahead and release funding for them. So I appreciate that. Thank you. 7.2 Tax Rates Bylaw number 677, 2019. Report from the Director of Finance dated April 15th, 2019 to seek first 3 readings of the Tax Rates Bylaw number 677, 2019. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
The council hereby approves the first reading of the District of Tumbler Ridge 2019 Tax Rate Bylaw number 677, 2019.
Seconder. Councillor Majinski. Yeah. First reading. Say first? I think so. Okay. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation, please. Councillor Majinski.
That council hereby approves second reading of the Tumbler Ridge 2019 Tax Rate Bylaw number 677, 2019.
Seconder. Councillor Kalka. Comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Recommendation, please. 3. Councillor Lehman.
The council hereby approves third reading of the District of Tumbler Ridge 2019 Tax Rates Bylaw number 677, 2019.
Seconder. Councillor Kalka. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving on to new business. 8.05, road closure for TRSS GO-KART project. So I think we heard from the delegation today that they're looking to close the road for 3 days, June 4th to 6th. Councillor Kukalka.
That we direct staff to close and barricade and pylon Southgate for June 4th, 5th, and 6th from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Seconder, Councillor Kirby. Any comment or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.1, Recreation Pass Benefit Policy, Min 52. Report from the Deputy Corporate Officer dated April 15th, 2019 to seek adoption of the Recreation Pass Benefit Policy, Admin 52. So before we get to the recommendation, I am assuming that some of our councillors are wishing to make changes to this policy. So I think the best way to go about that is to ask for motions to make changes to this policy and then adopt the policy as amended. So I'd like to open the floor to any possible changes to this policy. Councillors? Councillor Howe?
Yeah, I'll start with the first one, that we remove all district staff from the recreational pass benefit and the golf membership.
Second. Councillor Lee. Open for discussion. So can I just clarify, remove district staff for
Recreational pass benefit, golf membership.
for both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, open for discussion. So I'll start off. We talked about this in the PNP, and I think that was an excellent stage for it. I brought this forward for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'd like to create an appreciation of our staff members, and this is a small token of our appreciation, and that's why I presented it. And it's not about a money issue, it's also about a morale issue. When you're working for a company and you are unable to use facilities or have benefits within that company, morale goes down, in my opinion. And I feel that this is a way to increase morale, and with increased morale, increases production and pride. So this is the reason why I brought this forward. And yeah, I'm interested to hear what other councillors have to say. Councillor Lehman?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I agree with eliminating district staff only because this was first brought up for firefighters, the health center staff, and the paramedics. And I think if you start including more and more people, you diminish the value of that so-called thank you that you're now giving to more and more people. I think what it was originally in for was to show our appreciation for those people, and I think diminishing that is not a good idea.
I agree with you, but I disagree that it's diminishing. I think it's also showing appreciation for district staff as well. Councillor Kukalka?
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't, when it came up at the PNP, and I mean, I spoke highly of it, it's a good place to bring it up and start the discussion and hear from residents, which I've heard from many. I'm in favor of removing them, and a lot of talk was, and I know from staff side, from Mr. Wall's side, was we owned it, and I'm definitely owning that. So it has nothing to do that staff brought it forward. It was definitely done by the mayor. But it's in regards, they already have a $300 healthy living allowance. You know, they're paid fairly well by having jobs in the district of Tumbler Ridge. That was the big comments. The biggest thing for most residents that I did talk with was the golf. That was the big ticket. It wasn't so much the community center in regards to swimming and skating issues, but that was the concern from many residents, and which obviously I take some of their input and then make a decision once we have a debate. But I am in favor of removing them. Not that the staff is not important. I think they're very important. I think the job they do is very important, but I also think they're paid for that job that they're doing, as well as healthy living benefit through their union.
Okay. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I echo some of Council's comments. I will be voting in favor of taking this out at this time, but I do think that we should look at it a little closer. Like, you know, there could be some form of a pass. I think we could look at punch cards or something, or just the single facility, like the facility pass. I would have no problem with that. It seemed like the most feedback I got from the residents was the golf passes. But I did like how Mr. Wall added in the completion of 520 hours work. I like that idea of looking at it in a terms of years of service. So I think I'd like to see this brought back at a different time to look at it a little closer.
Okay, Councillor Howe.
And to me, this all started with a recruitment and retention idea for our medical professionals, and then carried into first responders, and that's what this was intended for. The idea of this was a golden ticket, the golden pass, so that a firefighter could go down and present this at the pool, and he could bring his kids in on his golden pass, which I think should be redone. I think the passes that we've developed are not what I envisioned. I thought it would be a lot nicer than what the paper card is that they got out of it. I'd like to see that relooked at. But the idea behind this is not to water it down. And I think that's what we're doing. If you go and add all the district employees, what's next? Right? Then we go, well, we need to include all the people in the building over at the medical center, which we already received a letter from them saying, how come we're not getting it as well? This needs to be clearly stated that this is for professionals in the medical and volunteer firefighter services, ambulance services, and that was what the intention of this thing started out. However good your intentions are, Mayor, I don't think this is the right time for us to go down this road. I also think this is a union-involved issue. They do get a $300 healthy living pass. This is also something that maybe we can look at. I don't know when union negotiations come along, but that's also the time to show your appreciation to the union and give them a pay raise, right? So money in their jeans probably goes a lot further than a pass to the community center.
Okay, Councillor Norwood.
So I'm against the amended motion.
Not the amended motion, the motion.
Sorry, then the motion to amend the recreation policy. And I think we're on the right track in that, yes, originally the intent of this policy was to attract and retain these professionals in these highly sought after positions. I think looking at this winter, we can say that we do need people to be healthy and operating our public works, water, what have you, operating those positions. And I think by having happier, healthier employees would help us have a better, more effective workforce. And I think that would also lend into the recruitment and retention of our staff. I talked to many staff members and how they do have very physical jobs, and the best way to perform those duties is to have a strong, healthy body, and you can do that by operating by getting into our facilities, by swimming, by lifting weights, taking part of the activities. And, things grow beyond what the original intent is. I do recognize that, yes, they do get a monetary amount to spend inside of for their own, so they can spend it whatever they need to have a healthier living. But that's besides the point. I mean, they could use that to buy shoes. They can use that to buy a bike. But we can say that we appreciate them and we recognize what they do by giving them access to the facilities that they've created and maintain. Going into the financial, let me slow down a little bit here. So I'd like to address the diminished value. So if we say the more people have something, the less it's worth. So then, by the same token, shouldn't we to make it seem like it's the greatest reward on the planet, why don't we restrict access to our facilities? Would that make our facilities seem so much better? I think that's a bad argument to make. And you can look at it anything, like, because my neighbor has a new vehicle, my new vehicle isn't worth as much. I mean, when you get down to a road of comparisons, I think everybody loses. So
I agree with you, and I don't. I do agree that I don't think this is diminishing value at all. I think if we opened up the golf course and the community center to everybody after the fact that we've issued these passes, I think that's when it diminishes the value. But showing appreciation to our district staff, I don't believe that that quantifies enough to diminish the value. I definitely understand the reasoning initially to give to our medical professionals and first responders, but yeah, I don't agree with diminishing value. Councilor Majinski.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. In the PMP, I was the only one that voted in the negative, and I'm going to stand by that still. The reason being is everybody enjoys different activities, and for you to give, or for us council to give all district staff a golf pass, not all of them are going to use it, and for them it might not be, it's like trying to push that on them. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing either, because maybe they enjoy climbing or something else and they can't even utilize their money towards that. It has to be within the district boundaries or within the community center or the golf course. So for them to use it is be whether for the weight gym with sauna, whatever, and if they are working out and doing heavy lifting and stuff like that, and maybe it's a benefit for them. So I could maybe see going towards the community center alone, but to have a recreational activity like golf, I don't think that's really necessary as a perk, and I don't think we have a huge need for retention or morale boost here in the district of Tumbler Ridge, because it's a stable job, it's good paying, it's a great community, and the staff get recognized by what they already get. They get these very nice jackets they work in. They get lots of perks. They have a very good union. I think to add and add and add is kind of diluting it as well, because then they're going to want more and more, and it's going to get taken advantage of it eventually. So I think for what they have now is pretty reasonable.
Okay. I'll take one more comment before we call the question. Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I think we could, if we look at this again, like you were saying, Councillor Majinski, that not everybody likes this path, but I think pass or that one. But I think like once a month, April is Employee Appreciation Month. Then the employees can have a facility pass for that month, and it could be one in the summer, one in the winter. An appreciation golf tournament where you invite all the employees. The employees get to use the course and have some fun. Like those are things we need to look at, because they do need to be made aware that they are valuable.
All in favor of removing district staff for rec pass and all access and golf memberships? Opposed? Carried. Okay, any other motions to amend policy? Councilor
I'd also like to remove the council and mayor are added to the recreational pass policy for VIP all access passes and VIP memberships.
For all passes, okay, Senator. Councilor Majinski. Open for discussion. Councilor Allen.
So I'll start us off there. The reason why I don't think that this should be included in our present council is because we last term went through an exercise to see where our wages were, to make sure our wages were comparable to others within the district, and we adjusted our wages accordingly less than a year ago. Then in January or February, we again looked at our wages because the government made a change to the way our taxes were collected off of our wages that we collect in the district. So again, we had to increase our wages within the district so that we still got the same after-tax money in our jeans. And now we are going back again and saying, yeah, you know what, I still think that we need more. We've had 2 opportunities to give ourselves more. And I don't think this is setting a good precedent to take every opportunity that we can to try to line our pockets. That's not what this job is for. You knew what the job was for when you came into it. You knew what the pay was. You knew what the perks and benefits were. If you should choose to want to continue with giving this type of a pass or benefit to members of this council, I would suggest that we don't do it for our council. If it's that important that it goes in, I would suggest, if it has to go through, that it's the council preceding this council that gets those passes, not this council. I do not like the fact that we are constantly looking at our wages and our benefits and what we need as a council. We're early into this job. We're 6 months into this job, that's it. And we've 3 times now. Like, to me, enough is enough.
Yeah, so I am in favor of moving council off of the passes. I'm happy to pay for my own recreation wherever I see fit. I disagree that we should be doing it off of the basis of us increasing our wages. I mean, if we keep our wages the exact same, we're just saying let's keep status quo to status quo. We had good reasons why we raised our wages, but sorry, I don't want to go down that path because I don't think that's pertinent to our conversation. But what is pertinent, I think that if we choose to access our facilities, I would rather be on the same level as our residents, and I'm happy to pay for mine.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I voted in favor of this, but only because I was wrong. I still would have paid for my own membership anyway, regardless of what we decided. And I don't like the idea of council getting this. We just voted down to district staff, and I think there's no way I will vote in favor of council getting it. I have not really any issue with mayor getting it, because that's different. It involves way more time. So on that, I don't really care one way or the other. But as far as council goes, no thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of discussion about this. I've had, again, talking to residents and stuff. There was no issue coming from residents, so I know that was one of the worries at the PNP is public perception. Public perception is from a fair amount of regular people that come to our council meeting or actually watch us on YouTube, is that we're not paid enough. So I'm not talking about wages. I'm not getting into that. I have an issue trying to give myself a raise, and I mentioned that that we should have done that before election time, that we should have given it for 2019, but it didn't happen when I talked to the past mayor. I have no problem with seeing mayor and council getting golf passes, rec passes. I mean, it's I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's when it gets us out there. I know we talked about staff. I don't get a $300 healthy living. I'm not saying I use it. Pretty much don't go to the pool, don't use the weight room, as you can see. But, for people that do use it. So, I golf. I don't golf regularly. So, I mean, I'll throw my thing out there. I usually golf on men's later tournaments. I'm not saying I still wouldn't pay. But I don't think it's wrong for council to actually look at it and think, is it a benefit to you or myself or whoever if you vote in favor? I think you got to look at, the meetings you attend and stuff like that. And this is, to me, it's an add-on to your wage without giving you money. And it's no expense to our community. And I've heard from many residents. And I mean, I was one that sat at the PNP and said that we'll be the first ones to hear it. I mean, I heard a text go off in that PNP, and yet those same individuals had no issue with council. The issue they had was with staffing in regards to their living, they're getting their healthy living, as well as the pay. And I think Councilor Kirby is right. That's something that we could maybe relook at. Was what you're saying in regards to staff, and I don't disagree with you. But I'll be voting opposed to the motion. Might be the only one, but still be voting opposed to it.
So I'll chime in here a little bit. So I will bring up the remuneration again. We were newly elected, and the federal government decided to propose to us tax changes. So please believe me that this is not a personal agenda to try and get whatever I can get out of this job. The more I do this job, the more I see that it's a volunteer job. Myself, $31,000 is under poverty line, and I'm putting in more than full-time hours to do this. I gave up $150,000 job to do this job, and I'm going broke right now because I can barely find time to crane anymore. So this is not an agenda for me to get whatever I can get out of this job. This is a benefit to mayor and council to volunteer their time to do this job. Council makes what, 13,000, 14,000? For the amount of time that you guys put in, that's half of what you should be getting, in my opinion. I won't even go what this job is worth. I'm a business person, I know what time is worth. Excuse me. In my opinion, I think province-wide, mayor and council are very underpaid, not only for towns and districts, but also for cities. And that was the common theme speaking at the mayor's caucus through quite a few mayors, that doesn't really make sense to what staff is paid for, to what mayor and council is paid for. It doesn't make sense. So I would still like to recommend a citizens committee or a resident committee to look at our remuneration, because something needs to change there. And to start with, I think we deserve a benefit from the district. And that's why I proposed this benefit again. So that's my take on it, and I will be voting against the motion. Councilor Campbell.
So yeah, I'll just mention one more thing. I mean, I've done some research too, and I mean, I know there's one municipality, I can't remember what city, if it's Richmond or Surrey, they're revoking it from members of previous council. I guess you get the golden pass for your lifetime for their golf course and their stuff. But there's actually other communities that actually do the same thing. That they actually, it's in council's contract. And I understand Council how like saying do it for the next ones. You know, I don't disagree with that either. But I honestly, again, I will not be supporting this. I do think it's right that I don't think it's wrong that council was to get that benefit, whether it's swimming passes or the golf. So.
Councilor Mourning.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing is my own personal opinion of this rec pass. I guess for myself, if I feel in need of paying my way, I can do that on my own. But on behalf of other members of council, I would encourage council to get out to use our facilities, our recreation, because it gives them a better understanding of the community that we are in. And we're talking a lot about, especially moving forward, we're talking a lot about the gym. We're talking a lot about expanding our recreation facilities, our golf course, and it's good to understand it from the inside rather than relying on other people's information. So, I'm leaning in the negative of approving this motion, as I shouldn't hold my own preference against the rest of council. I would like to see this for the rest of council.
Yeah, and please don't think of this as a financial thing either. This is a benefit for future councils to put their names up to try and become councillor as well. This is not just our benefit, this is for the future as well. Take one more comment before call the question. Any other comments? Okay, call the question for removing mayor and council for the rec pass benefit and the golf passes. All in favor? All opposed?
To remove it.
To remove it? No.
To remove the mayor and council from the rec passes. All in favor?
You said in favor.
In favor to remove it.
Oh, okay.
From the policy.
Right. Okay, 2 in favor, all opposed? Okay, defeated. Any other motions to amend the policy? Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Worship. In regards to the search and rescue being included, I just have a question. If we have any information on how many search and rescue, how many are involved in that group, and if there's a minimum hours required to get that pass.
So there's, from what I understand, there's 31 members at the moment. 12 members are currently taking their GSAR course, which is the beginning of the training for search and rescue. Steve, if you could correct me if I'm wrong on those numbers.
Your numbers are very close.
Yeah.
It is 12 students at presently. We track our hours very carefully, so
We could definitely set more there and community center. I didn't actually know that we were on the table to consider, to be honest. The only bar we currently have with our
Keith,
hours
just
is
point of
our
order.
200
What do I call point of order, Mayor?
I asked for the
I think you should ask council before you go to patrons in the gallery for comments. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Steve. Did you have a comment?
No, I just think if, there's other council here that maybe can give numbers or staff if we don't have the information. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, so did that answer your question, Joanne? How many members?
I was just wondering, because just on, as soon as you sign up to be on search and rescue, this will be a benefit right away? That's the way it reads?
So
It's not included.
Councilor Campbell.
It's not included this time. That'd be an alternate recommendation if somebody wished to make it to add them.
That's where, yeah.
Yeah. Alternative, that search and rescue is included under healthcare professionals right now.
Okay, any other comments or motions to amend policy? No? Everybody's happy? Councilor Norbury?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up an amendment. I should throw the amendment out first and then speak to it?
The motion,
Yeah, okay. That we include early childhood educators and assistants practicing as early childhood educators or education assistants in a licensed daycare setting for the VIP community center passes and the VIP golf course memberships.
Okay. Second. I'll second it. Open for discussion. Councilor Norbury.
So, I think if we are looking at this policy in terms of a recruitment and retention, continually over and over again, we are hearing how we are lacking early childhood educators and daycare professionals in Tumbler Ridge. And I think this would be a great way to aid our licensed facilities in attracting professionals. Speaking with the executive director of the Tumbler Ridge Children's Child Care Society, they had an open position for over a year because they weren't able to attract any qualified applicants to the position because the pay scale is so low to bring anyone here. And I think if we are looking in the future at getting in those qualified professionals, we need to give them another tool to attract these people into town, or we're going to be building a building that likely won't have any professionals in it because they're making quite a low amount of money in terms of their education.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, call the question for including
Early childhood educators and assistants practicing in a licensed daycare center.
Okay, call the question. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Okay, there was one more issue with family members. Councilor Kalka, was that dealt with in this policy? Councilor Kalka?
Yeah, it's already in there that they're removed. Family members be removed from the VIB golf pass benefit was carried at it's in their report so they won't be included. I'm not sure if somebody wants to change that, but I know I've talked to people. I've talked to many people. I'm just wondering right now if I made, and maybe I misread it and maybe I can't find it, but right now when we issue the pass for the previous passes for golf and for the community center to the fire department, did it go to the Tumbler Ridge Volunteer Fire Department or to the Fire Association? If I could just get clarification on that.
Mr. Hall? Volunteer firefighters. Volunteer firefighters. Councilor Kalka?
I'd like to make a motion that the VIP golf pass goes to the Fire Association member and that the rec center, all access rec center pass goes to the fire association's family members.
Second? I'll second that. Open for discussion, Councilor Campbell.
Yeah, so I'll just explain that. It's actually, we're actually giving it to the association. So it's actually members that are on the, it's an association. Yes, they work or volunteer for the Tumbler Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, but it's through the Tumbler Ridge Firefighter Association. So when I was actually in conversation with some of the members, and that's what they told me, how it's through the association. Like, there are members through that association that again volunteer to the fire department. So that's why I'd like to see that wording changed. I think I might have made that.
And so the association would also include chief and deputy chief and current captain at the moment, which is protective services. Protective services, yes, thank you. Councilor Campbell.
So that would be why I've changed it from the Tumbler, or asking for the change from the Tumbler Ridge Fire Department to the association, because it would be for association members. And if the chief and the captains are a part of the association, then they would be, to me, would be accessible to those passes.
I agree with that. The association encompasses all of the fire department, whereas the volunteer fire department members, it doesn't include everybody, because we have 2 paid staff members.
So,
Councilor
I mean, I guess talk to him more. I just see some confusion there, and I apologize. I just was in the conversation today, and that's why I just remembered it. But there is some members that maybe, or association members that are not getting the passes, and that's because whether they work for the district or not, that's through the protection services of the fire department they work. But they're still part of the association who volunteer many hours for the Tumbler Ridge. How that works through staffing, I guess Mr. Wall will correct me or tell us still can't be done, but to me, I'm trying to make it so that, you know, we did this to help retain and attract, to get more volunteers. So these members that may get some pay from the district are still part of an association. Right now, they're exempt from it because of that. So that's why I'm trying to change it to the Tumbler Ridge Fire Association, not through the Tumbler Ridge Fire Department. Because if they're an associate member, then I would believe that Chief Curry would get it. I believe Mr. Thibodeau would still get it, even though, I mean, he's a captain and puts in countless hours as well as Mr. Curry. And to me, what I look at it is in regard to PTSD is these members all work together. They work with the fire department, they work with the RCMP, as well as search and rescue. But I mean, they work more in that 3 group. To me, you go on a bad call, it's nice on that bad call on the bumper to say, listen, let's meet at the golf course. Let's meet at swimming pool. You know, they debrief as a group instead of as departments. So that's why I'm at now.
Councilor Howard.
So yeah, I have no problem with that. I think that both of those 2 firefighters that you've mentioned, and many in the past, I think started out as volunteers within our fire department. I think both of those guys did, and they worked into a position where they get paid to do what they do now. And you know, to me, that's the ultimate positive reinforcement for someone to do that. But the only point that I don't quite understand is there anybody else within that organization that would be included in this? I don't know everybody that's in this organization. Is this just the volunteer firefighters and the chief and the deputy? Like, this doesn't include bylaw, this doesn't include somebody who, you know, we have the major catastrophe in town, there's that group that, you know, comes to the town hall, there's that group, is that emergency services? Does it include them? Like, nobody else?
They would be part of the firefighter association.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I was just going to mention that. I think you have to, you know, once you are part of the association, you become a volunteer firefighter, or the other way around. You're a volunteer firefighter, you join the association. That's one group, and that's how they kind of do their. I mean, I wasn't able to attend it. I'm not sure how many of you attended the banquet they had on the Friday night there. That's how they do that. It's through the association, not through the volunteer fire department, but through their association. That's how it's put on.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. My only concern is they are paid employees of the district. So that's where it kind of gets iffy, because we have senior staff that they're missing out on these benefits now. So and they get paid quite well to do those jobs because they've worked hard to get into those positions. I understand that, but it's going back a step, because now we're saying that, yes, these paid employees of the district get the VIP memberships so that's where I don't know if that's going to be a contentious issue down the road, and And if there's going to be, maybe we get an animal control officer down the road, it could expand out, right? So
But they wouldn't be part of the firefighter association. And that's really what the motion is about, Councillor Kakanka.
You know, maybe we can get clarification from Mr. Wall, and I want to apologize to staff and directly to Mr. Wall, because we'd been discussing this a week ago or so, and he sent me some other information. But again, when I looked it up and talked to some other associations or fire halls that I've been a part of, even though you're possibly a staff member, when you're part of the association, it has nothing to do with staffing. And I could be wrong there, but it's, you know, I honestly, be honest with you, I'm trying to work. And it's not the senior staff that work at town hall or over at the community center or public works aren't important, but I think we need to relook at, like Council Kirby had said, bring that back, and maybe there's something fine tuning we can do there, you know, once a month, once the thing. But you know, I'd like to hear from Mr. Wall, if I may. And I apologize to Mr. Wall, I didn't get in today.
Mr. Wall, can you elaborate on that relationship between district staff and the firefighter association?
So we have two district staff, paid district staff members who are paid for the firefighting services that they do. Now, it's part of their job description. I wouldn't say it's the totality of what they do, but it is part of their job description. I'm a little unsure on the question, but maybe where it's going is that your paid status within the district, we have the fire chief, and that fire chief is the head of the volunteer fire department. Outside of that, your rank within the association is what matters, not the fact that you're a paid staff member, if that's what you're getting to. So your rank within the association is the determinant on the hierarchical order within the organization. So there are members of the Volunteer Firefighters Association, or the Firefighters Association, who are unpaid and outrank one of our paid members.
Yep.
Right. So as far as bylaw and protective dog catching, they're not part of the firefighter association, so they wouldn't be included in this.
Not because of their job at the district. They may become volunteer firefighters and are part of the organization, and there are different staff members within the district who would qualify into the volunteer section, but it's not related to their job at the district.
Good. Councillor Hockey.
And aren't like, as I correct me because I don't know, but aren't firefighters required to pass some type of fitness tests every year? And would that not include the deputy and the fire chief?
Everybody.
You know, so to me that might make a bit more sense too, if we get them into the gym using those passes to, you know, secure our investment.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the changes. I do have a couple of clarifying questions, and that's regard to the golf memberships and the proposed change of the fire association members. Did you make the motion to add the family to those passes as well? Okay, just the community center VIP passes. Okay, thank you.
Any other, before we call the question, Councillor Kirkell?
But just before you call the question, I want to make sure that's clear with staff that it, okay. Just thanks for that. I want us to make sure that, okay.
Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, any other, Councillor Hall?
Yeah, one more. I'd just like to put a motion on the floor that we direct staff to improve the quality of the VIP membership pass to something that is much higher quality.
Of the actual pass
Yes.
itself?
Yeah. So the intention of that originally was that it's a very unique card. Perhaps it has their picture on it, and the association they represent, like the Tumbler Ridge firefighters. Here's a picture of the volunteer who's on it, and the bearer of this card, you know, gets free access to these facilities due to their volunteer nature and what they provide for our community, and we thank them for their service. So, something along those lines, so that, you know, they show that to their kids and they're proud of it, and you know that has some prestige to it. The type of pass that they have now is very similar to just a recreation punch card looking pass. It's not what we wanted, and I'd just like to see that done. Put some time into it. We got a graphic artist on.
Yep. Seconder for the motion. Councillor Kirkell?
Before it's seconded, could we just read the motion so we're not, just so it's not all that?
Sure. Yes. So a motion to direct staff to improve the quality of the VIP passes.
Councillor Kirkell, second. Any other discussion? Yeah, I totally agree. it is a prestigious pass. And, I haven't seen them myself, but I'm sure we can do something there. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mr. Wall?
Yeah, I just want to make one comment that pass design was approved by the committee that wanted to pass this grade. Just so you're clear, that was something wrong.
Okay. Councilor McCollum.
Sorry, I sat on that committee and that pass never came forward. I attended. So unless the chair of the committee approved that pass, that could be true.
I'll send council the minutes of the meeting.
Good. I wasn't at the meeting.
Yeah, I don't remember
see
that
it.
either, but.
All right, any other motions to amend policy? Okay, so let's pass this thing then. Recommendation, please. At point 1. Councilor McCollum.
The council adopts the recreational pass benefit policy amendment 52 as amended.
Councilor Lino. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Thank you for all those motions and discussions, it was really helpful. Okay, 8.2, Tumbler Ridge Community Centre Restauran 2019 lease. A report from the Acting Director of Community Services and Facilities dated April 15, 2019. To seek approval of the 2019 Community Centre Restaurant lease. Recommendation, please. Councilor Lee.
The council approves the Tumbler Ridge Community Centre Restaurant 2019 lease as presented. Oops. That the council directs administration to enter into a lease agreement game on each area as per expression of interest, closing March 5th, 2019, for the Tumbler Ridge Community Centre Restaurant. And that the council approves the Tumbler Ridge Community Centre Restaurant 2019 lease as presented.
Senator, Councilor Kirby, open for discussion. Councilor Powell.
Yeah, I just want to take time to thank Mr. Wall for taking questions in regards to the lease and the concept that I read through here, how we're going to go in and do an overview, find out what needs to be fixed. Some of it may be at the district's cost, depends what it is, and some of it might go back on the previous tenant. So I thought, I just want to thank him for taking the call and going through it with me. I want to thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I had a similar question. I just wanted to make sure that all repairs were taken care of before the tenant went in, so.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, 8.3, Chris High-Speed Internet, a report from the Chief Administrative Officer dated April 15, 2019, to seek approval of a loan agreement and lease agreement with Chris. Recommendation, please. Councilor Norwood.
The council approves the loan agreement and lease agreement with PRIS as attached to be signed by Mayor Bertrand on confirmation of grant funding in the amount of $1,150,000 from NDIT and Connecting British Columbia.
Seconder, Councilor Kirby. Open for discussion. Councilor Howell.
So as of today, we have not received the grant, correct?
Correct.
And what if we do not receive the grant? What is the plan?
Mr. Wall.
If we weren't to receive the grant this year, it would be something that we would have to talk to Chris about and talk to council about, see if we still want to move forward. I have, I would say I have doubts whether or not Chris would be willing to shoulder the entire cost of this themselves. It's important to remember that this is just a loan that we're giving to Chris that they're required to pay back. If this grant was not approved, likely what we would be doing is just looking to delay the project for a year and applying to this grant again, applying to the other grants that have just been announced by the federal government. There's a number of funds that have come online previously and look to be coming online in the future. So if this funding doesn't come through, and part of the motion is that council is not aware or administration to enter into this agreement unless the funding does come through. But given the tight timelines that we're getting into at this point, it just seems prudent if everything does fall into place, we'd like to move forward right away. Right away, which is why the recommendation is structured the way it is.
Councilor Norwood.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to congratulate staff for coming up with such a great agreement. I mean, this is win-win. I mean, I doubt we'll ever have a project that will see such a positive benefit to so many people without having so little of a negative. And we're even going to be the entering into profit sharing with PRIS. Thank you for entering into that agreement. It's a home run. Absolutely, this deal is great.
Okay, Councillor Howe.
And unfortunately, I'm a little more skeptical than Councillor Norbury on the agreement. It does look good on the surface, and if it all works out like that, fantastic for the district of Tumbler Ridge. I have a few more questions. One more question is, does PRIS have any skin in the game in this project? Do they have any financial, is there any money they're putting in? Or is it just the cost of this project is the grant funding for 1.15 and the $800,000 we're giving them?
Yeah, so as far as I understand, they are a non-profit organization and they don't have the funds to put up, and that's why they look to us for the loan. As far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wall.
That's correct. There is in the contract a cost overrun clause, which for the cost overruns, if there's cost overruns on the project, Chris is going to be required to put a certain amount of funding in towards that. There's a percentage sharing with a cap on Chris. Chris is a large organization, so there's a cap on how much they would be required to put in. But I mean, the skin in the game is that Chris is it's all of their money. None of this is the district's. It's a loan that they have to pay back. So it's their project and their liability.
Councillor Howe.
So what is our guarantee on the money if PRIS goes bankrupt?
Guarantee on the loan?
Yeah.
So we, as far as I understand, we would take over the hardware. Mr. Wall, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. We would own the infrastructure.
Councillor Howe.
Which sounds fantastic if it's all put in the ground and it's all working and making money. But if they mismanage their money and buy the wrong product and stuff doesn't go in the ground and things don't go well and they can't get into operation because they have no skin in the game and it's only our money being spent, what is our guarantee on the money? We don't have a guarantee on the money. We get left with what? A bunch of infrastructure that maybe works, is maybe in the ground, maybe it's not. It's a huge risk here. Huge risk.
Councillor Norbury and then Councillor Cup.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have this infrastructure, and don't kid yourselves. I mean, if we want to, we could potentially become a telecom industry. I don't think we should get into that, but there are municipalities that run their own internet, and we could, and through this, we're going. Let's look at the rather than speculate on the potential of bad things happening. Let's look at the potential for the benefits that this is going to bring to our community. I mean, we're going to triple in the best areas to potentially 10 times the speed. You look at the way the world is moving, there's big talk saying that high-speed internet is a fundamental human right at this point. And not to mention, if we want to look at expanding our business base, 49% of all business is done online. And I think by not having this infrastructure to have reliable, high-speed internet, we're going to lose on that potential for our existing businesses in the future, and not only that, but also itinerant workers that won't move here because our internet is not up to snuff.
I definitely echo your concern, Councillor Howe, and I understand where your concern comes from, and I think it's really up to us to monitor the progress of the project as well. Councillor Howe.
Well, it's up to Mr. Wall to make sure that this proceeds correctly, but this is food for thought. This is just adding something to think about here. Councillor Norbury touches on a fantastic subject, which is expanding our business in the area, which I think is crucially important. But this agreement also does not give us any guarantee that businesses will be supplied with internet in the heavy industrial park or the mines or anywhere else within the DTR that is not within the residential core services or the commercial areas. So what we have in our Tumbler Ridge downtown core is businesses that take up office space that already have buildings. Some of them already have buildings within Tumbler Ridge that they had to move down to the downtown core so they could get internet service. That's why CANUMA's offices are down here, because their internet connection out at CANUMA is absolutely terrible. So when we're looking for office space for things like childcare services and we can't get people to move into town because the rents are too high, for setting up a small business, this type of stuff is important. to think about that we can't just service the downtown core. We don't have any assurances that this is going to service the heavy industrial park. Tech is not going to service PRC and is not going to service our Wolverine mine. There's no assurances in here for that. That should have been a provision, that there was an assurance in here that that will be taken care of, and that is not there. That's super important.
I believe that it is in there that with this infrastructure in town, it increases the capability of a wireless service to be able to service the Wolverine mine, PRC mine, heavy industrial park as well. If I'm wrong, Mr. Wall.
That's correct. If there's a bigger base here, PRIS intends on making those expansions and doing that through a wireless service. It's important to remember, though, that we are only providing a loan to a business that has to make business level decisions. We can't make a requirement that this company gets into money losing operations, especially if you look at the projected surplus that we're going. If this project goes well, we could look at delivering an international community and making a 20 to 70% return on the funds we put in. I mean, this is a pretty lucrative deal for the district if everything goes well. Like any business venture, there's risks that it doesn't. But if council wants to guarantee the service out to that area, you're more than able to. I would suggest that council has to pay for it. PRIS is not willing to put a hardwired solution out to the industrial park. If council would like to do that, we estimated at $250,000. We can do that. Council would just have to put the $250,000, and again, that will be a loan to PRIS. They're not willing to take on that business risk, but it could be just a service provision that council chooses to move forward with.
Good. Councillor Norbury, then Councillor Howe. Sorry, my apologies. Councillor Kakauka, then Norbury, then Howe.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, a couple questions in regards to the building that we're going to be building. I see in the map on the back, it doesn't give us measurements on how big it is. Renting it out for $1 a year. I just have, I don't know how we get our money back for building a building if we're doing it for $1 a year contract with PRIS.
Mr. Wall.
So the building will be their building. The $1 a year is the rent on the land in which they put the building. And the funds that the district makes back is through the profit sharing.
Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, so in reference to the industrial park, in the proposal, they're currently planning on providing a solution to these areas. I'm like, let's really look at what's out there. I absolutely want them to do business out there, but we're looking at Highland Valley Fleet, La Prairie Crane, a welding shop, and a couple storage areas and a couple of privately owned lots. I mean, we're looking at something that will potentially benefit 1,900 residents in Tumbler Ridge. I don't think we should even be entertaining the idea of holding it up for one operating business, two operating businesses, and a couple privately owned lots with nothing on them.
Plus Wajax as well.
Sorry, Wajax, my mistake.
Councillor Howe.
You've completely missed the point here. I'm talking about the mines. I'm talking about the highest taxpayers in our community do not get the benefit of this, besides they get to look at the internet when they're at home. What I'm talking about is tech, being able to cast a signal, however it worked. When I talked to Mr. Torrey about it, some radio dish or whatever they use to do it to get to town, that is not guaranteed in here that PRIS is going to provide that. It says right here, it will be made at PRIS's discretion. I'm not concerned about the industrial park is one spot. If we got to hardwire that for $250,000, I don't think that's a dumb move. We would do that. They would do the same type of thing, radio communication to town or however it works. But we're talking like PRC. We're talking, and if PRC ever came back online, if Tech ever came back online, they eat up all the downtown office space, because both of them had office space down here, because they can't transmit, they can't do proper business out where they are. So without that guarantee for the people that pay the highest amount of taxes, those three businesses in Tumbler Ridge alone would pay about $6 million in taxes per year to us. There should be some guarantee to those folks. We should have something. We're giving a lot of money away, guys, with nothing, no guarantee. And the other thing I don't like in this project here, what's the timeline on this? I don't see an end timeline in this. I see a number of 2022 is when everything has to be complete, and the month after that is when we can start splitting the money with PRIS. where's the business case for this? Where does PRIS say, we anticipate we're going to make $80,000 a month? We anticipate we're going to make $200,000 a month, $300,000 a year. There's nothing in there. If PRIS only makes $50,000 a year, this carries on for forever. $800,000, when we put that in at 3% in the bank, we make ourselves $24,000, not compounding the interest on that. So it looks good on the surface, but to me, I think there's a great deal for PRIS. And I hope that I can come to the District of Tumbler Ridge and get an $800,000 loan with the promise of, when my business makes profit, I'll give you 50% of that every month as well. There has to be an end date on this. There has to be some amount that says, this is done in 5 years. I don't see it. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it's in there.
Okay. Mr. Wall?
At the beginning of this project, we reached out to all the mines and asked them if they wanted to be part of this in developing it, put funds in or solutions. And the only operating mine that seemed to be interested at the time was CANUCKS, and CANUCKS ultimately chose to move forward with their own solution and not participate in this project.
Okay. And as far as timelines go, Mr. Wall, what are your projections?
Yeah, this isn't a terribly complicated project. It's really just about taking fiber wire, which is quite light, running it under the in the underground cabling and bringing it to houses. It's done all over the place quite a few times. We're not breaking new ground on this. We're looking, or Chris is looking at a company named Kaylee to come in and do it. They've done this multiple times. This is really probably, if we can get the timelines to work with the grants, would most likely be done before the end of this year. Steep rock, as I mentioned in the report, is the big question of whether or not micro-trenching or a wireless solution. It may be that we're able to work with the underground infrastructure that's there. We don't know. Calyx is not going to know until they get their boots on the ground and move forward with this project. So yeah, there's risk to this project. There's risk with any investment that council makes.
Okay, Councilor Norbert.
Yeah, so, speaking with professionals in the telecom industry, they seem pretty confident this can be done by the end of the summer. That's very confident that people will be able to flip it on. And if we're looking at return on our investment, we're looking at anywhere between 20 to 70% return on our loan back. We're not going to get that from any loan that we look at. They're saying they're going to give us back potentially $300,000 to $400,000 from this loan. Yeah, there's risk in everything, but for 20, 30, 40% return on loan, there's going to be a little bit of risk. But in this one, it's potential risk that they're not going to follow through or they're going to go bankrupt. But PRIS is a organization that's been offering internet for quite a long time. They're a reputable company. I don't think that's a reason that we should be questioning if they can do it. If they say they can and others say they can.
No, I agree with you. I think the benefits outweigh the risk for sure. Councilor Lynn?
I can see where Councilor Howe has issues, and really, I mean, when you look at Tumbler Ridge's track record over the years, when they get into business with somebody, usually we end up on the short end of the stick. And I don't really like that. But, I mean, I'm going to have to, I guess the district staff has gone over this, and I'm hoping that our risk is minimal, because, I mean, high-speed internet is a definite asset for this town. I'm just hoping they limit the risk factor, yeah. Thank you.
So where in the loan agreement, in the internet service and loan agreement, does it say that we'll be paid back in 5 years and the district can expect a return of $300,000 to $500,000? Is that in the loan agreement anywhere?
The loan agreement specifies the amount that needs to be paid back from Chris. So the numbers are based on the business case that was submitted to our granting organizations, NBIT and Connecting British Columbia, and those funds are based on a projected subscriber number, and that's really where the risk of the timeline of the repayment of the loan, as well as the amount that comes back. It could be that the district gains more, it could be that the district gains less, it could be that the loan is repaid faster or slower. A lot of it will depend on the on-ground, this uptake of the community. And part of what the district will need to do to ensure that payback and increase the timelines and the amount payback is to work with the community to promote the project and say, everybody sign up for this, double your, triple, quadruple your internet speed, move forward with this PRIS solution. Not only are you going to be getting a faster service, but some of the profit's going to come back to your community as well. That's going to be part of what we have to do in the rollout. It'll really come down to whether or not we can get subscribers. There's no question that the service is quite a bit stronger. It mentions in here that we have, looking at initially a 50 megabyte upload and download. There is nothing in the infrastructure that would stop us from actually moving to 100 megabyte upload and download once we get enough subscribers in the community. And that'll be based on whether or not we can get people to sign up. So if council's worried about that aspect of it, I would say that you have the ability to go out to the community, ensure that everyone you know and everyone you talk to wants to sign up for this project.
Yeah, and I think this is also addressing the common theme in town that internet service is not that great, and hardwiring and fiber optic cable is a huge improvement. One more comment and then we'll call a question. Councillor Howe.
So, I think that's a bad statement to make when we're talking about $800,000. You're going to cut us off and we're not allowed to have more discussion about this, but that's how you want to spend $800,000, give her. But profit, is it going to be averaged over the last 12 months of the agreement, or will profit be at the sole discretion of PRIS when this agreement is done? What concerns me is what prevents PRIS from adding expenses or lowering rates in the first month preceding the end of the loan payment. Again, there's nothing in this contract that states they can do that. So potentially why they could do this is they could defer expenses onto this project so that we see less profit. And there's no guarantee that the profit that they were getting, that we were getting the repayment on our loan at 50%, will continue at the end of the loan. There's nothing that guarantees we're going to get that. Should that not be considered, that we would get an averaged amount over the lifetime of the project? If the project is expected to be 3 years and it's going to be paid back in 3 years, should we not get an average amount of what that was per month going forward? So that they can't change the game. I'm not comfortable with the contract the way it's written right now. I have a few other concerns, but we'll leave it at that.
Mr. Wall, can you elaborate on that? Last comment.
Yeah, so within the contract, it does state that PRIS has to submit their financials. So when that happens, if there is deferred expenses or deferred revenue, as council just went through our auditors, all of that is tracked, so we'd be able to see if that's what they were doing. Deferred expenses need to be accounted for in the month that they're there, so that's not something they'd be able to do. If PRIS was to get into the situation, that's actually not something I thought of. Again, we're working with a nonprofit here, we're not working with a for-profit business, so I'm not sure what the motive would be for them to do so. But if they were to do so, they would be doing it off the backs of our taxpayers. So let's say we got through and we got our money back on the repayment and they decide to slash their rates when it comes to the profit return to the district. They would just be decreasing the amount that's being charged to our residents. So I'm not sure that's as big of a loss as maybe it would initially seem, because our residents would be getting the direct benefit rather than the organization. But so that's one thing. And then as far as averaging it out over, council could do that. You're likely going to end up with less money if you do that, because again, anticipating that as the service is brought on, the 2 years after that your profit is repaid are going to be making more money in the first years, because you're in the startup with your startup costs and you have less subscribers. If the model moves forward as we intended to, you're going to have more subscribers in the 2 years after it's paid back, because your consumer base is going to grow. I mean, you can't account for every eventuality. If, let's say, the mines went down in those 2 years and they lost a bunch of the subscribers, then you would lose that revenue from there. But again, on the other side of that, let's say that does happen, you had the contract to be amortized out over the 3 years, and PRIS isn't making that money. Now you've bankrupted the telecom that you wanted to bring into the town in the first place. So council can provide any direction you want on where you want to go.
Okay, I'll take a few more comments here. Councillor Calcutt and Councillor Howe.
So I'm just curious if we can get a parcel size that this building's going on, and is it already serviced lot that they're putting on there in regards to water, sewer, power? Like, who's paying for it? They say it actually doesn't say that they're building it. It just says Will not be possible. A new building, housing, and server will need to be constructed. This building will be located at Pioneer Loop, attached. As the paperwork's at the back, and the district will rent the space to Pris for $1 a year. It doesn't say rent the land, it says rent the space. So I'm concerned about it.
I apologize for the ambiguous wording in the report. Attached to the report is the lease for the space in the building. So again, it would be Pris's building. We're really talking about a glorified shed. It's not going to be too big. There'll be no, there's not going to be, I don't envision there being any hooked up water, no sewer. It's going to be a glorified shed that houses the servers. We had hoped to co-locate with Talus. That's not going to be possible. None of our district buildings are suitable for the amount of space it takes up and the cooling that you need to have in it. Again, this is not going to be a very large building. It's a glorified shed. I don't have the dimensions off the top of my head, but I came back.
That's good. That's good.
So when, 4.5 years ago, we looked at where our money was within the district of Tumbler Ridge. And we came up with a lot of creative ideas of how we could invest our money, and we came back and we thought, well, these are some great ideas. We can make 6% returns. We can make the district of Tumbler Ridge upwards of $800,000 a year. This is a fantastic plan. And we were shot down at that time because of the community charter. So in the community charter, it's very specific about spending money and your investments that you have to have 100% guarantee of public money. So we have to have 100% guarantee on this loan. There has to be a cash 100% guarantee on this loan. Regardless if we get the infrastructure or not, we have to get that $800,000 cash back. Correct? Is that not correct?
Mr. Wall? No, this isn't an investment vehicle. This is a loan. It's a grant that we're requiring them to repay the same way we can grant the museum or any other organization what we want to do. There's more benefit coming back to us from it, but this isn't an investment vehicle.
Okay.
And I would encourage council not to look at this as an investment vehicle. I would encourage council to look at this as whether or not the cost here is worth the service that is going to be provided to the community. And you have to factor in the risk. Whatever you personally think the risk is that this project's not going to work out, maybe you've got a 25% chance you think it won't work out, so you multiply that through on the value of the project. Maybe it's 50%, and that's how you make your calculation. But there's also the risk on the other side that council doesn't move forward on this. We already got into conversations with the major telecoms on getting them to provide this service in here, and some of council is aware of what those terms are, some of them weren't. It was something that was disclosed to us in a non-disclosure agreement, so it's not something I'll say in the meeting right now. But if council doesn't want to move forward with this, I'm not sure what the solution will be. Again, Councillor Norbury mentioned it. You can move to a municipal telecom. You can just say, well, Tumbler Ridge is not going to get high-speed internet, and leave it at that and wait for the major telecoms to come in and put the funds in. But I can say the timeline that we did get from the major telecoms were we could get on the list to maybe see it in 5 years. Maybe the federal funding that's come out has changed that, but that it's not something that they've indicated has changed their timelines.
Councillor Howe.
Yeah, and I don't have any concern about getting high-speed internet in Tumbler Ridge. I'd love to have high-speed internet. I think we all would. I think there's no question with that there. My questioning comes around with the repayment of the loan. That's what my concern revolves around. Yeah, there's a huge benefit here, and if you had to put a number on it and say, if you're not going to get any of this money back, I'd like to know what your number is. You know what I mean? I'd like to, if we could say, yeah, we're willing to give up $200,000 so that every resident of Tumbler Ridge would have that, we could make that decision. But my question comes down to, are you willing to give up $800,000 and never get the repayment on it? Like it looks good, but there's, like I say, in 2022 is when they have to start making their first payment. And we don't know if that's 80 grand a year, or 80 grand a year would be 10 years you get your repayment. You're missing out on $24,000 a year and compounding that in interest. So,
okay. Councillor Norbury.
I'd like to call the question the motion.
Yep. Okay, call the question on the recommendation to approve loan agreement and lease agreement with Pris as attached, to be signed by Mayor Bertrand upon confirmation of grant funding in the amount of $1.15 million from MDIT and Connecting British Columbia. All in favor? Opposed? Good. 8.4, CBC Radio Facilities, LEASE RENEWAL. A report from the Director of Corporate Services dated April 15, 2019, to request a lease renewal with CBC Radio. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noble.
As presented.
I think we should read that out.
Okay. That council authorizes the mayor and corporate officer to sign a renewal lease with CBC Radio for a 5-year term beginning June 13, 2019 and ending June 12, 2024.
Seconder, Councilor Lehman. Open for discussion. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. 8.5, Junior Canucks Hockey School. Report from the Acting Director of Community Services and Facilities dated April 15, 2019, to seek approval from Council to assist with the organization and promotion of hosting the Junior Canucks Hockey School in Tumbler Ridge, August 26th to 30th, 2019. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noble.
That council approves the early ice installation for the purpose of hosting the Junior Canucks Youth Hockey School in Tumbler Ridge from August 20th to 30th, 2019, and that council waive facility rental fees for the youth hockey camp, Junior Canucks conditioning camp, Junior Canucks selection camp, exhibition games, and regular season games.
I'll just make a correction there. You mentioned August 20th. It should be August 26th.
As amended, thank you.
Second. Councilor Majinski. Open for discussion. Councilor Kyle.
Yeah, if I get a clarification, so I read in here we're gonna waive all these fees in regards to the ice and games and exhibition games, and are they charging for the youth hockey school?
No, but we're at Street Wall. Yes.
So I guess my concern would be then, why are we willing to give them free facility fees? We don't even give that to Tumbler Ridge Minor Hockey. We don't give that to our senior hockey group. We don't give that to figure skating. I have a huge concern that we'd be willing to give them waive facility rental fees. Because whether we give them a better rate, but to waive it?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, we should be waiving ice fee rentals for everybody.
I agree with you. I think this was a proposal to try and attract the Junior Canucks to come to Tumbler Ridge for this hockey school, and really to showcase Tumbler Ridge as a destination for the hockey school. But I agree with you. I think even if we did charge our regular primetime fee, that fee is a third of the cost that Dawson Creek charges for their ice time. So it could go either way. It's council.
So like my understanding and is they came here because of the way their fee was increased in Dawson Creek. That is my understanding, is they were increasing. That's why they reached out to Tumbler Ridge. I'm not saying that we need to go and get rich off renting ice to a group that wants to come here and hold a youth hockey camp. I think that's very great for Tumbler Ridge. It's great for our community, great for our residents, great for the youth that do play hockey that maybe decide to go to this camp, but I will not support the waive of the facility fees. I think it needs to go back, stop, and get a report on what we should charge for ice rental. I mean, I don't want to throw a number out there. I don't know what the numbers that we pay. To be honest with you, I don't know where our old timers pay. I don't know where our minor hockey rates are. I mean, that comes to the staff report. I think, to me, I won't support the motion. I think it should go back to staff.
Yeah, so I think the rates in this thing would be all over the map, actually. Like, when you rent the ice for youth, you get a different rate as compared to when you rent it for adult. And if it's for profit, it's another rate. Non-for-profits get cheap. It's all over the map there. And I tend to agree with Councilor Kakauka. I think we should get a few bucks out of this thing. We are putting it in early. The intent of putting it in early and we put it in August is a little more expensive because of the heat. You got to get out of the building and a little harder on the refrigeration unit. We got to bring the Simcoe guy or whoever they use now up early. And that's us paying for them to get them into the area. But I would suggest that maybe regular rates, our regular rates, from what I understand, talking to members in Dawson Creek, is about a third of what they're paying in Dawson Creek for their ice rental right now. So Dawson Creek is a completely different financial situation than what we are. And I think the additional stuff that staff has come up with is unique and it's cool. I think the golf memberships and free camping for the coaches and to get them out. And now that brings people into the restaurant down there and using the golf course, and then the kids get to the golf course. You know, I kind of envisioned that they might have campers in the back parking lot. I don't know if we can do that, but something like that. And the kids are using the skate park down there and the basketball courts. And, you know, I think it's a great idea, and I think it's going to bring people into the community. I think we just got to massage it to get it to what's going to work for this council. And I don't think giving it away for free is quite the answer. You know, if they wanted to bring teams in to do like a hockey game in town, like the junior Canucks are going to play Fort St. John Huskies in here, we want to give that ice time away. And event ice time is like $350 for our event ice time for the time that they're there. If we wanted to give that away, that would be a pretty cool thing. And, you know, maybe they would allow community members in for free or something. Like, you know, I think we just got to massage this to get this right here, and we can do it tonight. I think we can get it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it is going to be a significant increased cost to get the ice in early. But like I say, even the prime time, I know the old timers, they charge, or they are charged about $110 an hour for prime time ice. So I think our ice fees range from about $50 to $110. So I definitely am in support of charging some fee. If it's our minor hockey fee for this junior hockey camp, it's a win-win for the junior Canucks, and it's really a win for Tumbler Ridge as well. This brings a lot of people into our town. This brings a lot of people eating at our restaurants, staying at our hotels. The economic impact of this would be significant, I think, as well as showcasing Tumbler Ridge. Tumbler Ridge as a destination for a hockey camp as well. And I would love, if this goes through, to get an economic impact study done. Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, so I guess my question to staff is that what's the timeline on these negotiations? Do we need to have like an answer pretty quick to try and get for the purpose of getting the Junior Canucks Hockey School in here?
Mr. Wall.
I mean, the earlier lead time they get a decision, the happier they're going to be. I note that the reason it's structured this way is that the Junior Canucks have come here because of the increase in the fees. That's true, but they are also very hesitant on whether or not this can actually succeed in Tumbler Ridge moving into Dawson, and that's where this is like this. So the proposal is like this in the first year to show that it can happen. Council's been asking for the hockey camps to happen in Tumbler Ridge for since I've been here, about 4 years, and it even got down the path of discussion of just paying to host our own to do so. So this, based on those previous conversations, seems like it seemed like a pretty good deal just based on where council was before on how to get the hockey camps to Tumbler Ridge. So I don't know. I just wanted to make council aware of that the Junior Canucks are cautious about whether or not this can even succeed in Tumbler Ridge. And I think that the recommendation is like this, to put a proposal forward that can show that not only can it happen in Tumbler Ridge, it can succeed, and allow us to build a premier hockey destination moving forward. So that is why the recommendation is structured the way it was. And on top of that, Dawson, the Junior Canucks are looking at losing money by hosting their games in Tumbler Ridge. They believe that's going to be the case, and so that's why those fees are structured that way, because they have to. It's looking like they may need to offer a financial incentive to the other teams to get them to travel out.
Councillor Kalka and then Norbert.
Thank you. Baby, and I mean, I guess should have been in earlier, and I apologize to Mr. Wall. What's the cost to put the ice in it early, if we know that number?
Mr. Wall.
So we are already off the timeline of the other communities on putting in ice, so that won't change at all. It will just be the 5 extra days of ice. That's the only cost.
Do we have an approximate cost? Is it $1,000 to bring those guys in? $2,000?
So the cost to start the ice when we normally do, which is to have it in for September 1st, that's council's motion, versus to put it in on August 26th, there's no difference in cost.
Okay.
Councillor Norbury and then Councillor Kirby. Sorry.
Do you know what the cost is to put it in?
Do I know?
I know. I'm not saying it's different. I just want to know if it's $5,000.
No, I don't know. It's $3,500 to get some co-op, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, and I guess it comes down to what are we willing to pay for the service? I mean, it sounds like I would love to have a hockey camp in town. I mean, it's hard to argue that hockey is not a huge part of this community. And if somebody said, hey, we'd be willing to provide the service for you for a cost, I'd jump at that. Now, if we're getting into, it's going to cost us a few $100s, even a couple $1,000s in ice fees, I'm willing to pay that cost to bend over backwards for the Junior Canucks Youth Hockey School to operate in Tumbler Ridge and show them that we're willing to do whatever it takes to bring them in, because I would wager that these events, these hockey tournaments that come into town, are one of our biggest draws in town. It's a benefit to our whole community, and I think we should bend over backwards, and we shouldn't squibble over the cost of a couple $100 ice time.
Okay, Councilor Kirk.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we can do it at a break even at least. Recover our staff costs and what have you. I think this is exciting. We've been looking at hosting a tournament of some kind for some time now. So, you know, this is going to be a win-win. If we put it on and it's great, we can have other communities bidding, or we can maybe see more tournaments come in. Especially, you know, since we've hosted the Olympic team and their dry land training here. I mean, we should be promoting that as well as why you should come here and why these camps are great in TR. But I think, you know, I'm not for waiving any of the fees. I think we can still do it or break even at least.
Councilor Copley and Councilor Howell.
Thank you. I was going to make a couple comments. So we just had a discussion earlier tonight in regards to giving staff free access to skating and swimming and all this stuff, and that money seemed to be an issue, and they already get $300, and I spoke to that. So I have a concern that we're going to bring, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic that staff reached out and put this report together. The concern I have is the costing of it. Here's a group that's going to charge my little gaffer to come and go to their hockey school, but have no expenses. I mean, I get that we're trying to get these guys to come here and do all that to have this camp because, you know, we want them to, and I totally get that. I just think there should be a fee. I mean, it's $3,500 to put the ice in. What doesn't matter if we put it in for them or us, and I get that. I was just looking for a number. I just think there should be cost, something. I don't know if it's break even or if it's, I don't even know what they charge minor hockey an hour. So, but if it's $50 an hour, maybe that's what we should. I mean, I can imagine what a hockey camp is going to cost a youth individual to come to the camp. You're probably looking at $300 or $400
on the low side.
Yeah.
Councilor Howell.
And I think that we have to have some amount of cost there as well. And now I understand staff's take on it, that they wanted to give it the best chance to be successful, and that's admirable. I understand where they're coming from with it. And my thought process behind why there should be some cost is because if the ice does go in on the 26th, these may not be the only ones coming to use our ice. Right, so there are a lot of evaluation camps that happen early in the season, and they're looking for ice everywhere. Grand Prairie was in Dawson Creek yesterday on the ice in Dawson Creek because they needed to get ice. So and Taylor is quite often heavily used. All the groups in the area go to Taylor to practice for spring hockey. It's in late in Taylor as well. So, and I would think that if we put it in on the 26th and they get it for free, well, they may block it from 8 until 9 o'clock at night, and they've got that free ice time for 13 hours. Whereas if you say, no, there is a marginal cost, it's 50% of what our regular ice time is, or 75% or full cost, which is still a third of what you pay in Dawson Creek, it would let them be a little bit more cautious about how they utilize the ice time. They may say, yeah, we only need 6 hours for our camp, and then it's open. So then we can rent it at full rates to other organizations. So that's why I think there needs to be some cost, so that they don't do an overrun on us and say we want the ice from 7 in the morning till midnight, right?
Yeah,
So
no, I agree with you, and I think council, I think this is the growing theme that there should be some kind of cost retention from this. So I think we need to decide if we want to go with minor hockey rate or prime time rate. I think those are the two distinguishing rates. From what I understand, minor hockey rate is around $50 to $60, and prime time rate is around $100 to $110. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wall.
That prime time rate, I'm not saying you're wrong, it does seem higher than what I thought it would be, but your youth rate is right. It's $54 an hour, if memory serves me correct, for minor hockey.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure about that prime time rate. So if somebody, Councilor Campbell.
No, I'm going to make a motion. I think this one has to be voted on and turned down, and somebody can make the other one. I mean, that's fine. We're doing minor hockey. I just think something, but I would hope that we look at that same thing in regards to exhibition games and regular season games. And I know I heard from Mr. Wall saying that, they think they're going to come here and lose money during their games. I really don't believe that. If they've, something. I mean, I'm not sure many people travel to Dawson to watch this hockey, but I think we're about to fill the rink, and maybe that's something that minor hockey can partner up with the junior Canucks in regards to the door. So it could be a fundraiser for whatever organization, since they're going to get a great rate on ice compared to anywhere else probably in the northern part of the piece.
Yeah, and I would like to make an amendment to this recommendation, because the recommendation also includes to approve early ice installations. So,
which one?
Councilor Norwood.
I did have a question. Are the junior Canucks going to be charging for not to enroll? I understand that part, but are they charging for admission to games?
To these exhibition games, junior games, I would definitely.
I would think so.
And they will be retaining those profits versus us.
Yes. That's usual.
Gotcha.
So I'll go ahead and make an amendment to the recommendation that council charge the rental fees for the youth hockey camp, junior Canucks conditioning camp, junior Canucks selection camp, exhibition games, and regular season games at minor hockey rate. Seconded, please. Councilor Norwood. Any discussion? Councilor Mytopher.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Why don't we start high with the exhibition rate, and then we present that to minor hockey and see what they say, and they say no, not a chance, and then we'll cut it back down to the minor hockey rate. Would that be something that could be done, just so that we get, like, especially if they're going to be coming in here and charging for exhibition games, and they're just pocketing it, and that's going to go back into their organization, not ours. So we should get something, and start on the high side.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity to work with them. I just don't want to.
Scare them away.
Honestly, I just put that out there to get this moving. And if we don't want to do minor hockey rate, we can try for prime time. Any other comments, Councilor Howell?
Yeah, I'm happy with the minor hockey rate, and I do think we are going to get something out of this. And like even staff given with their idea to give it away for nothing, we are going to get something out of it. We're going to potentially, I mean, if they're getting 100 families in here, we're going to bring a lot of people in RVs, and they're going to get to see the community, spend money in the town. And I think that's kind of the gamble here, right? Like, do we want to give it for free and hope that we get really, really good, or do we want to charge a little bit so that we feel like we're getting something, and still get them to come? I think if you go minor hockey rate, there's no way they're going to say no to that, or they're not going to come at all,
Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I agree too. I think you're going to add some economic impact to the downtown core when it's usually a slow season, I would imagine. So I think we're here to support business. Then this is something that will definitely be supporting business in Tumbler Ridge.
I agree. Councilor Norwood.
I'm in favor of the lower amount that you suggested, and mostly I understand that the council, we feel that we want to charge something, not give it away for free. I respect that. I'm still concerned. I'm concerned that we won't have this opportunity, so I'd like to keep the cost as low as possible to them, because they have cited that they will feel they will lose money on this.
Okay, call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Call the question on the amended recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Second recommendation, please, Councilor Lockout.
The council authorized administration to build a hockey school incentive package to help with providing a successful event. This authorization includes, but is not limited to, golf discount voucher for hockey school family members, swim passes, free golf passes for coaches and assistants, free RV camping for coaches and assistants at Monkman RV Park. Oh, I guess you can't do that. So it'll be the golf course. I just think it was bigger, that was all.
Right. Okay, seconder. Councilor Howell. For discussion. Councilor Howell.
Could we also add the gym on there as well? Access to the gym. I mean, when you do these conditioning camps and the kids get to the point where they're 16, 17 years old, the gym is part of that dryland training. So
Councillor Kalka.
Yeah, I think that's something that just says not limited to, right? Includes but not limited to these.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think it's something that staff, I mean, like I said, I'm gonna highly thank staff for coming together. I mean, to do this and then bring it forward. I mean, you know, I think they're hitting it. I think there's probably more that they can come to. Now, whether they'll come back to staff or to council, I'm not sure, but I think hats off to them to even think about the coaches and the assistants. I mean, I don't know how many communities are going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a buy-in right there, in my opinion.
Any other discussion? Mr. Wall.
Just like direction on the rental fees for the other aspects of the community center that they plan on using. For example, the trial and training in the curling rink, the rooms 4 and 5 for the downtime for the kids. What's council's direction on that?
Councillor Hall.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, kind of leave that up to Mr. Wall to make that decision. You know, like years ago we had Babbage Brothers Hockey School come to Tumbler Ridge for 3 or 4 years, and when I was a little kid, I got to attend that and remember it to this day. And they had free reign of that facility. Like we were in when we had the pool in the curling rink, and they were out using the soccer nets, and it was all incorporated into however that was done or whatever. So, you know, I don't want to tie Mr. Wall's hands if you were able to bring in some like NHL caliber camp where they say, hey, you know, we're gonna bring in this camp to teach your kids or whatever, or Okanagan Hockey School or somebody like that might do a northern camp. I don't want to tie his hands. I want him to be able to say, hey, here's what we got, here's the opportunity, and let her go. Nobody's using the curling rink that time of year anyways, right? So,
Councillor Norberg.
Yeah, I think to answer Mr. Wall's question, he wants to know, do we want to charge for those rooms? That's the question he's asking. I don't think we need to.
Okay. Councillor Majinski.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. The only concern I have with all these uses and free access to everything is it going to hinder our programming with all the other paid programming that happens, whether it's the CrossFit or the cross training or personal trainers in the gym, and then all these guys are going to have 40 kids in there running around, taking over the whole place, and then it's going to limit the access for the paying members and paying people. And like even an all access pass is like for the day is like $2, so you can go into the gym, you can go into the pool. So charge them for that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's really up to Mr. Wall to coordinate those efforts. so the roof doesn't fall off, that's for sure. Councillor Kavalka.
Again, I agree with Council Majinski. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, if I want to rent it for putting on something or use the community center for the rooms or whatever, I have to rent them. We just had an argument here tonight, probably a 25-minute or 30-minute argument in regards to passes for our staff. And I mean, my reasoning on regards to not supporting that was from listening to residents. I mean, I'd be curious to not hear that. I mean, we have organizations that come in and want to do something, they have to rent them.
I would be more in favor of a discounted rate like we have with the ice.
I just think, again,
I'm not a big supporter of giving everything free, that's for sure. Especially when we have users in the community as well. Councillor Majinski.
We have to think as a business as well, and they are an organization coming into here as well, so there should be some profit from our side of it, because we have free access once a week, I believe it is, for volunteer groups or non-for-profit organizations for those rooms. But these guys are an association that's making money, and they put that back into their communities, not ours. So I think we should charge for something like that.
I agree, and you know what, the recommendation on the floor does give a lot of benefits to the organizations coming, and I don't think that they would receive that anywhere else in the Peace region. And as well, to go from a $360 an hour ice time to a $60 an hour ice time, there is huge benefit there, as well as us willing to cater to their needs as well. So I'd be more in favor of a discounted rate. Councillor Norberg.
So I think for clarification on staff, someone needs to make a motion. I think we're telling staff, go ahead, get into negotiations with them, and but make the right one. And we're not telling them exactly what we want, which we need to do through a motion of council. I think we need to do that.
Well, we have a motion on the table,
Perfect.
and we can definitely make another motion after the fact. I think this motion is I will call the question that council authorizes administration to build a hockey school incentive package to help with providing a successful event. This authorization includes, but is not limited to, golf discount voucher for hockey school family members, swim passes, free golf passes for coaches and assistants, free RV camping for coaches and assistants at the golf course. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Can we get another motion to direct staff for community center use during this time? If we want to charge or not. Councillor Kakowski.
The council directs staff that if for any room rental, including the curling room, it's at a 50% charge.
Second. I'll second that. Open for discussion. Councillor Majinski.
What is a room rate per hour? Like,
Mr. Wall. I don't know. Councillor Kakowski.
Depends what room.
yeah,
It's room 4, room 5, room 1, room 2, curling rink. That's why I say if it's 50%, it's, you know, I think room 1 is $90 or something like that. So, I mean, I could be wrong on that number, but I remember renting it for a Christmas party.
Call the question on the floor. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, and absolutely kudos to you, Mr. Wall, for putting this together and reaching out to the junior Canucks. I think this is going to be a very exciting opportunity if it goes through. And I do believe that myself and council have given them every opportunity to make this a success.
So just on it, I mean, there should be direction given to staff that, you know, they get a hold of the junior Canucks and maybe there's some little bit more give they want. Like maybe they don't want to pay for the curling rink. They don't want to lose it over the curling rink.
No.
So I'm not sure that needs to be a motion. Or, you know, staff would just come back.
It would be. I would encourage council, I think on the hockey school, listen, I don't know how the junior Canucks would receive this. Again, I'll caution council, this is the first opportunity we've had to do this, and they're cautious about this being successful. The one where I would suggest maybe not to push it would be the games. I would say that this is something that they are looking at as a returning the favor for Tumbler providing cheap ice to come down here. They already have to negotiate or possibly provide financial incentive to the other teams to get them to come to Tumbler Ridge. They have to pay the referees more to get them to come to Tumbler Ridge. They don't think they're going to get as many people through the doors in Tumbler Ridge. And I would maybe just put that one back to council and say maybe look at those games coming to Tumbler, especially in the first year until we can show them that we can do what we think we can do. That it's a community event that we're sponsoring. So that would be the one area I would say. And to your point, if I have that discussion with the junior Canucks and they draw that line in the sand, I will work with Mayor Bertrand and say, listen, I'm going to go out on a limb here and try and keep it. But that one area I know right now that I wouldn't want to put pressure on the organization is with those exhibition and those games, because they are already going out on a limb with their organization. This is high-level hockey. Some of council's aware, some of it's not. Some of you aren't, but I would say that's the area not to maybe put the pressure on and on that section of it.
I still think we've put together a pretty darn good proposal as well. So thank you for that, Councilor Kakowski.
So just on that, I guess, is, you know, I mean, as long as, like, to me, I mean, I'm not sure if you want that in the motion today or just something that'll come back, but I'd have no problem in regards to looking at exhibition games and regular games, as long as it's not that we offer up exhibition games at no charge and regular games, but because of that, they just do exhibition games here and don't come here for a game. To me, there'd have to be a signed contract that there would be a game or 2 games, regular season games, in Tumbler Ridge, to me, to get exhibition games for free. And I think we have enough officials in town that are qualified enough to do this hockey. 2 of them I know.
Let's not even go there.
Talking about the guy with the hips, or
not me.
Oh my goodness gracious, here. Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna call it recess.
So you're looking for that here?
So I'm happy with the direction I have from council right now, unless you guys want to provide others. I'll have the conversation with the junior Canucks. If there's major sticking points, I'll work with the mayor. Again, council give me a little bit of flexibility, but it's quite clear at this point where you're going with this, so I will have that discussion.
And realistically, I don't think $150 for game ice time is going to be a breaking point. I think that minor hockey rate is smoking good deal. So, like I said, I think we put together a pretty good package here. Okay, moving on, 8.6, strategic planning. So this was discussed at policies and priorities committee. So at the moment, strategic planning is the last couple of pages. Strategic plan time. Councilor Kyle.
So just before we get deep into it, I'll give you a little overview in regard to the PMP. It was just discussed about kind of understanding and where it was there, and then, you know, going through with Mr. Wall, it's whether we want it to be facilitated or not. And there was a concept brought up that there's some facilitators already coming up in August and stuff, and we know we did talk about moving it up and stuff like that. But again, people were unaware why it was on that agenda, and that's why it's been moved to this agenda, so you can kind of give your insight on why it was put there, I guess.
Yeah, so I have thought a lot about the strategic planning, and it was definitely, I mean, myself being at a disadvantage due to the game here in October, it was an oversight to get strategic planning on priority list. And in my opinion, I think strategic planning is definitely a benefit to be facilitated. Having facilitators come up with this overall overarching plan and really bringing the 7 of us together to distinguish what our priorities are is very much a benefit. Speaking with Mr. Wall, we are planning to have Christina and Kayla visit us in August, and we thought that could be a good timeline to, they are capable of facilitating strategic plan as well, and try to combine the follow-up council orientation with a strategic plan as well. So I'm definitely in favor of facilitated strategic plan. I went through it at the regional district, and it was very well done. And there was 12 of us directors there, and the gentleman who did it had a challenge on his hand because not all of us saw the same eye to eye, but in the end, we came up with a priority list that was very beneficial in order to focus all of us for the year ahead. So that's my thoughts on the strategic plan.
Yeah, I think it's important too. I know, I mean, I can't take the words from him, but Councilor Howe's been bringing it up quite often, and you know, it is a good thing to sit down, but we also don't have to wait till August, because, you know, Mr. Wall did say at the meeting as well that he can facilitate it, feels comfortable doing it. You know, that's, again, just taking him away from something else, so be aware of that, but, I mean, I think the sooner we get together and have some discussions, and with regards to what people's ideas are for the second year of the term here, you know, sooner than later, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you. I think once the budget is finalized and the budget corresponds to the last 2 pages here of the strategic plan, that's going to change things. That's kind of our outlook for the year. Is realistically the budget does lay out a strategic plan for us all. So I kind of disagree on having it as soon as possible, because I think we do need to have some time to digest how the budget affects those last 2 pages of our strategic plan timeline. Councillor Cook.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but it's not in regards to talking about just what's back here. You know, it's other ideas that costing can be done by staff for the next budget. You know, maybe I want to put in a zip line, bungee jump. I mean, some of we already have prices for. Maybe I want to put a roller coaster in from top to the bottom. That's going to cost on it. That's the idea of my strategic planning. I'm not sure what your idea is. I know we have one in the back, and that's fine, but to me, if we start talking about earlier, the staff get a bigger jump on getting cost, and then there's a debate if we're going to add it, how many items we're going to add. Like, to me, it's right there, but maybe there's 4 items that are great items that all council agrees with. They want to see that progressed in the next 3 years. Whether it's trails around the whole community that we haven't finished yet. The plan comes forward, we all agree. We want that done over 3 years. That's staff's job to figure out how much each year has to be done for it to be done. Year 1's already gone. Not adding anything to. I mean, to me, we're not going to steer the ship the wrong way.
No.
Right. So it's, to me, it's for next year. So I do believe sooner the better.
Good. Comments, Councillor Nolan.
Yeah, I'm in favor of having a facilitator come in. I think some of us are new to our roles here. I'd like to see a professional come in and help us develop our strategic plan because of the importance of what we're doing. And I would love to see it much sooner. I'd like to see it in June or July. I'm just throwing dates. I mean, but I would rather see it sooner because we are making big decisions for the next 3 that we want to see happen in years 3 and 4. And I think we need to get going sooner rather than later because I believe that we may have some differing opinions, and I'd like to have more time to set the course of the ship. And let's get that done now. And I think that's a priority for us.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I think if the timeline for Caleb and Christina is August, I think that would be fine because things will probably come up in that meantime as well and change. So, and that will give us time to see where our budget's at as well. We can kind of digest and gives it a bit of time. I don't know if sooner than later mantra is always going to be beneficial.
Yeah, Mr. Wall and I discussed it a little bit as far as timelines go. I mentioned November is too late because just the way December rolls, then you're rolling into Christmas holidays, and then you're right into budget again next year. So we did discuss timelines as well, and kind of came to the conclusion that August would be an appropriate timeline to plan for the budget next season, but it's really up to Councilman Kelton.
Again, I'm not against facilitating. I'm all right that Mr. Wall would join us as a facilitator in the first steps and then having another one in August. I mean, it doesn't mean we can't lay out a roadmap or throw out ideas. People can hear maybe what Mr. Howell's ideas are, maybe mine, maybe I don't have any, but throw them out there. Let's have a discussion about it. And he's pretty sure he's more than capable of leading that. I mean, and if we want to pay people more money than we pay our own staff to facilitate, then I'm fine with that too. But I'm not saying do it before the budget. And you mentioned June, July. I mean, previous to it, we used to do it on a Friday night, and it was all day Saturday. So I mean, to me, you're looking at 2 days, and it doesn't mean we don't have another one in 2020. Because you steer the ship, and all of a sudden maybe something changes. Some staff finds out that we're doing these trails, but now we're going through a swamp, and we actually can't put a road there or a trailway there. We thought we could, but we can't. So now we're going to steer it the other way.
I definitely agree, and I think it should be done each year to revisit at least. My only concern is taking Mr. Wall away from his very busy job at the moment. But I do agree, Friday night and all day Saturday, that's kind of how we did regional districts. And, but there is a cost there. Paying Mr. Wall overtime is definitely a cost.
Yeah, I'm not getting into the cost of what staff get. That doesn't matter to me, but I would think the staff would not put it out there that they are able to do it and add it to their schedule if he is not able to do it. Again, I am more in favor of the first chat with Mr. Wall, and new counselors, you get a chance to do it instead of paying these. I'm not sure what they make, and it's not my business if staff writes them a check. But I don't know what they make an hour. I can only imagine it's a
full-on
I can imagine.
Strategic plan, my guesstimate would be in the $30,000 range.
How much?
30. Councillor Hunt?
Yeah, well, that was going to be my question, is how much does it cost to bring them up to facilitate it there? My dealings with them, they're fantastic. The two of those two, they're awesome people, really good to deal with. They've got good insight, and they give you a different perspective, perhaps, than your own, and also sometimes of your CAO. They and they give you ideas and say, like, well, you don't have to do it this way. It could be done this way or this way, whichever way your council feels comfortable heading in that direction. And there's some value in that. I don't know if there's $30,000 of value in that.
Well, I'm assuming or guessing on a separate facilitator coming in to put together a full-on plan. I think we're cost saving by doubling up Christina and Caleb. Mr. Wall?
Yeah, the Christina and Caleb stays are closer to the 7,500 range plus travel expenses. So that's a lot cheaper. And I don't know exactly what the regional district did, but they may have gotten to write an actual strategic plan and move forward on a fairly large document. I think that council is going to be looking to more make edits to the timelines that you already have. So I don't think council will be looking at quite that amount, but I think you guys are on the right, you're discussing the right thing. Do you want the facilitator? And if you do decide with the facilitator, you can always give direction to say, okay, well, we want a facilitator, but we'd like to do it earlier than August. You can give me that direction to go back and see if that can be done. I would just say, for the facilitation, are you comfortable with it being Christina and Caleb? And what is the importance to you on them coming versus waiting to August? Maybe I get back to them and they say, listen, they're very busy. They're flying all over the country. They might say August is the date we have. Maybe they can come back earlier. Would you like to wait till August if that's the case, or would you like to maybe bring in somebody else?
Councilor Calvin.
What's the dates in August? I know you, Mr. Wall, have had obviously a conversation, but I don't know if council, anybody council is aware of it, and how many of us have holidays? Like August is,
It's a busy time.
Yeah,
I
so.
think we were looking at August 11th, 12th, possibly.
Nothing's been booked yet. That was part of the reason for this discussion for council to see if those dates work. I would say just in past experience, booking council meetings to get everybody there over the summer is always a challenge.
And I definitely agree with your comments about possibly having Mr. Wall do an initial one and then maybe looking later on. Councilor Kirkhope.
So if it was August 11th, I believe that's Empress Challenge weekend. I could be wrong, but unless I'm wrong. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we need to, when we're having discussions in regards to trying to set dates, I think council needs to be right at the front and center of what dates we're thinking before. Because I'm not sure what the rest of the holidays are for people. I really don't personally advertise when I'm going on holidays anyways, but.
Yeah. No, nothing's been set in stone. It's all up in the air. So, Councilor Kirkhope.
But if they book so easy and we're talking that this is why we're doing it, that's why I'm concerned that maybe we didn't call them. Maybe they're not even available in August. I don't know.
They've given us three dates, I believe, or 3 separate dates.
And they are?
I don't know it on the top of my head, so I'll get back to you on that. Councilor Miller.
To clarify, Councilor Calca, the Empress Challenge is on the 10th. So we can make it move. We can make it work.
But normally that's a Friday and Saturday night, so it'd be hard to be out running the Empress Challenge when you're supposed to be in a meeting.
Councilor Guske. Did you have a comment? Okay. All right, so are we on the same page that this needs to be facilitated for sure? And
no.
Do we want Mr. Wall to set up an initial one as soon as possible? Councilor Guske.
Initial one with just Mr. Wall, without a facilitator.
Correct.
Just.
I think we're all on the same page with that. I agree, it's very important to discuss this and be all on the same page. And we definitely kind of missed the boat up until now. And, yeah, Mr. Wall. Doodle poll, please.
I'll send out some dates.
Thank you. Okay, we are 10 minutes to our 3-hour mark here, so we'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. Schedule of meetings, just so everybody had an opportunity to go over that.
Don't worry.
Conflicts or anything there? And, okay, Councilor Kirkhope.
So just on that, I mean, I think it was mentioned before, but so we're not, because we're at the NCLGA is there, that's fine, I get it. We wouldn't be willing to do a regular meeting on the 13th and a PMP on the 14th, so we don't lose a meeting throughout the month. Would that make a different timeline in regards to approving our budget? Or are we planning on doing that somewhere here where I don't see it? I know we're talking about the financial plan on the 17th, but I don't believe that's the full budget, unless I'm wrong.
Mr. Wall?
The financial plan is the budget.
Okay, enough.
And it needs to be done by May 15th, is that correct?
We have it submitted to the Provincial Government by May.
Isn't the final readings?
Yeah, 17th.
On Wednesday? 17th?
Yes. Any other concerns or questions? Okay. Did we want to add a regular council meeting? Is that what you're question was, Councillor Calkin?
Yeah, like I'm just aware. So we're doing a meeting tonight, and then we have one on the 17th in the morning at 9 a.m. And then we're not doing another meeting until the 13th of May, and it's a P&P. Like, and then, I don't know, to me, like, are we going to be overloaded the meeting on the 13th, the 21st? And then there's a Minerals North meeting in Chetwynd the next day. Again, we're close to a 3-hour time limit as we started 2 minutes early tonight. So, and, you know, when this agenda gets big, and I'll be aware, I will not be supporting a continuing a meeting after 8 p.m. or after 3 hours.
So are you proposing to move the policy priority on the May 13th to May 14th and have regular council meeting on the 13th?
I threw the idea out there just because of that.
Councillor Norbury and Councillor Hunt.
Yeah, maybe this is just me, but I find if we have 2 meetings back to back on like the Monday, Tuesday, the last time I did that, I found it a very large challenge to prepare for those meetings. I mean, maybe that's not the same for all of you, and I just need to step it up. But I find that it's a real challenge to prepare for 2 meetings in 3 days. You know, yeah. So I find that's a bit of a challenge.
No, you're probably right. No, 100%, man.
Councillor Howe.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that too. It's difficult for staff to pull it all together. A week of a break is good, but is the 6th undoable? Like, are you guys traveling on the 6th to Williams Lake? That's why it's undoable.
But can we travel in the evening? It's a 4-hour drive.
Williams Lake?
7.
No, we're only going to Prince George.
Oh.
First night's Prince George.
Yeah, breakfast is the Tuesday morning, right? Will Council. Councillor Curry.
I'm not for a meeting on the 6th. I'd go against that one. And traveling at night to Prince George, no.
I'm fine with the meeting on the 6th. That's the will of council. I just think it's tough when we do 2 meetings a month and then we're overwhelmed. That's just my opinion. And maybe staff's going to keep it light.
Want to put a motion out there? Councillor Howe.
I don't want to put a motion out there, but I mean, maybe we leave it to your discretion. And Mr. Walls, like, is it, you know, like, is there any reason why if it was the 29th, we had to, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
like to say if next week comes up and you're like, guys, we got to get in, there's more stuff we got to do, that we could then call a meeting on the 29th. Like, I don't know the rules around that, or is it a special meeting, or is it, you know?
well, yeah, I could definitely call a special meeting on the 6th if there is, or even on the 29th if there is a lot of stuff backing up. For sure.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to get in the habit of 3-hour meetings, but this was a lot of discussion tonight and also some important issues for sure. So yeah, I'd be fine with that. You know, I'll kind of stay in contact with Mr. Wall and see what's coming up. This was a big check. Okay. Notice of motions. 9.1 food prior to council meetings. So I brought this forward for this exact reason. We're getting to the 3-hour mark. Not really expected, but also I wouldn't say I brought it forward for myself. I brought it forward for council. That at the 3-hour mark, we're kind of losing our brains a little bit. And I'm definitely not talking about full-on steak meal or full-on meal. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about finger food, snacks, small. That's my intention. It's just to keep our mental abilities firing at all cylinders. Councillor Majinski and Councillor Cookout.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I'm definitely in favor of that, just because all staff here haven't even gone home yet. They've been here all day, since 8 a.m., working all day, and then they're still here. So 12-hour days.
Councillor Cookout.
Going to put the motion on the floor to provide prior to council meetings.
Second. Councillor Majinski. I think we have enough direction on what type of food or, okay, Councillor Cookout.
Yeah, and I'm just going to echo Council Majinski, and not that we need to debate that much, but, you know, it's staff too, and I did talk to Mr. Wallen, and just so everybody's aware, staff's actually entitled to a lunch fee or a meal ticket for being here for so long, which they haven't been using. I think, you know, some appreciation back to these people that stay here for 3 hours, including your guys. Like, I'm sorry. Like I said to you last week, that I'd like to call a motion to continue this meeting.
Seconder. Councilor Jensen. Councilor Cook.
I won't be supporting staying after this 3 hour mark, as I've stated before.
Any other discussion? Councilor Norbert.
We only have 2 more items. I think we can. What's opposed? I think I'd rather get business taken care of tonight.
Call the question. Do that again, Teresa. 5 opposed, 2.
No offense, but I will be staying for the rest of the meeting.
Offense taken. So I think we had a motion on the floor, seconded for food. Did we didn't vote on that? Is that correct, Jim? Call the question on the motion. Sorry.
Can we continue down even though the presenter is leaving?
Motion's on the floor. Thanks to all.
Yeah, once the motion is made and seconded, it's owned by the body, not the,
Call the question on the floor. All in favor? Carried, thank you. 9.2, pool closure dates. Councilor Norbert.
Thank you everyone for sticking around. That staff prepare a report on the alternate pool closure dates, considering traditional low usage times and availability of other water activities such as Flatbed Creek and Gloom Lake.
Okay, second. Councilor Lehman. For discussion, I don't know if I should call that. Keep it quick. Councilor Norbert.
Keep it quick. So, two points. One, this lines up very poorly with our triathlon dates and training. Second, I believe that there's opportunities for a better pool closure time. We don't need to go down this path. We find that it's not realistic, but I'd like to look at that.
Call the question on the floor. All in favor? Carried, thank you. 9.3, Teacher Appreciation Night. Councilor Norbert.
That staff created a proposal for a hot dog barbecue lunch to be provided by TRE and TRSS in the month of May for faculty and students as a teacher appreciation event.
Seconder. I'll second that. For discussion, Councilor Norbert.
Quickly again, I think something similar to our volunteer appreciation event doesn't need to be a sit-down dinner. I just would like to get out there and show our teachers that we appreciate them during these, especially with all of the issues that they've been having. And I'd love to get out there myself and help serve them, as I know the representative, some people from the PAC, as well as our school trustee would also be willing to look into that.
Couldn't agree more. Councilor Majinski.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Will this be provided by the mayor and council, or is this going to be done by district staff? Because if it's by district staff, I wouldn't be in favor of that.
I think it was intended to be mayor and council. Is that correct, Councilor Norbert? Any other comments? Councilor Majinski.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Has any of the school district employees from School District 59 or in the surrounding area been contacted about something like this going on?
Not that I'm aware of. Councilor Norbert.
No discussions have officially taken place with administration or the district themselves. Anecdotally, some teachers would welcome the idea of appreciation event. And a couple unnamed sources. To add to that, the school trustee thought it was a good idea, as well as the PAC member.
Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I like the idea of mayor and council doing the barbecue. I think we also had the same thought when we were at the volunteer appreciation event put on by staff. I think that mayor and council should be also doing the barbecuing at that event as well. Gives you a chance to talk to the people in the lineups when they're coming through anyway, that's just more of a thought of.
I absolutely agree. I do think we're going to have to look into regulations, whether or not Mayor and Council need to have food safe. Possible. But, Councilor Norbert.
I got food safe, you covered. Bernie.
Bernie, you have.
He's a hot dog specialist.
Councilor Jensen.
I have lots of certificates.
Shit for the room.
I barbecued a lot, but I don't have food safe, so that's why I asked.
I'd like just to add that I have serve it right if we want to up that game a bit.
During lunch? I'd love it.
Call the question on the floor. All in favor? Carried. Okay, councilor's business. I'll start out. So I've been away for a few meetings here, unfortunately. So I just want to mention to everybody that my first absence was during the first week of spring break. My family went down south for a small vacation. The second absence was the Mayor's Caucus in Prince George, which was fantastic. Mayor Lynn Hall in Prince George hosted us all. Excellent discussion, excellent panel discussion. And we also got to see some really cool initiatives in Prince George. One of them being a heating system that was using byproduct from the mill piped throughout the town and heating district buildings. It was a very interesting initiative. And also the last one was a trip to Victoria to meet with 5 ministers and the Premier with the Resource Municipalities Coalition, and we presented the Energy Roadmap white paper that was put together by the coalition to really show the province we are a valuable resource up here for resource knowledge for energy usage. And, it was put together by a symposium that was held in February 2018 in Fort St. John. It was very well received by the Premier and ministers, and it was an excellent opportunity. So those were my travels, and today we had a meeting at the Regional District in Dawson Creek with Premier Horgan and Minister Flinroe Doug Donaldson in regards to caribou. Horgan has received the message loud and clear from the Peace Region that we are unhappy with the whole process in getting to the partnership agreements. And he has appointed Mr. Blair Leckstrom, which is a very trusted friend of the Premier's, to become a community liaison. And he's also extended the deadline for consultation till the end of May. So the reason for the extension is to really try and work with us to get questions answered. Everybody that came to these engagement meetings were all staff members. There was no ministers there, and there was no MPLAs there to really answer the questions that were being asked. So it was a show of good faith for the Premier. It was the first time that he visited the Regional District, and I have full confidence in Mr. Rockstrom representing the East Region and also listening to our concerns and preparing a report for the Premier that hopefully will be a workable solution for everybody, not only industry but recreation as well. So those were my travels. So we have a few of Councillor Norbury's reports in here. So this is really where our reports are going to come in the future, so that not only do we stay in contact with each other of what's going on, but the public has the opportunity to read our reports as well. So thank you, Councillor Norbury, for these. Does anybody have any comments on reports? Besides Councillor Norbury?
I'd like to move them all for information.
Councillor, all in favor? Carried. Okay, question and answer period. No questions?
Boy, we just had this to say.
Okay. I had a lot of comments. So resolution to close meeting, I'd actually like to table this for the next council meeting, if everyone's in favor of that. I'm not sure, do we have a timeline, priorities here, Mr. Wall?
We had indicated that we would be getting a response back out after this meeting. I had anticipated a decision this meeting, but it's up to council if you want to.
That's great.
I would recommend that we deal with the closed meeting, take a short recess and deal with this, and I don't think it should be too long.
You guys are troopers.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I wanted to throw it out there, but I'm glad there's some still coming. I'm sorry. Find a recess, please.
Take a look in your face, Ray.